Well, hello, everyone. Welcome, chat. Good evening. It's 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to the second episode of Mixed Bag Panel. We have some return guests. Andrew Wilson. We got Gnostic Informant, our Neil, our beloved Neil. Tom Jump. T-Jump is coming by, and maybe we'll get a surprise guest. I'm not sure. I did send out a link to a couple people. So we're going to get into it. Hopefully Tom arrives. He's running a tiny bit late, so I don't want to get into the topics too soon. But in the meantime, I hope you love the intro. And with that, we'll start with our guests. Andrew, welcome back. Thanks so much for coming over here, Andrew, again. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible. Thanks for having me on, Jimbob, for your Mixed Bag Panel. I appreciate it.
No problem. Neil, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So yeah, we had I think we had a pretty good conversation last time. I did see a couple of Cope reviews, right? Because they selected the one section, and I know, Neil, you have your own opinion about it. When Jay came on, he just kind of went into the debate, right?
Which is fine.
It's fine.
I think it was very clear that Derek was not interested in going.
He wasn't ready. No, he wasn't ready to do
that.
Ready. You know, and that's fine. I mean, some people just don't. Oh shit! Some people just don't debate like that. They just want to stick to the historicity and stuff. But I might have to review it because some of it was like, oh, these people are so unfair and this and that. But they didn't really see the whole show, and I think the whole show is primarily fun. For the most part with those guys. So I try to keep it that way. And so, as we wait for T-Dump, do you guys have anything on your channels going on? Neil, I know you produce your own content. Do you do live stuff other than the panels or what?
I used to do a lot of lives, but I've been doing more pre-recorded documentary style videos recently. I'm working on one right now that's pretty intense. Going into some ancient Athenian religious stuff, but I still will do lives eventually. I'm gonna get back to it whenever it's right.
Right. And Andrew, you got all sorts of shit going on. It's nonstop. Anything in particular you have on the schedule that you're excited for?
Well, I'm kind of excited for that Jake Rattlesnake debate, honestly.
Right.
But yeah, we have all kinds of stuff coming up. We got whatever kicking off again on the 30th. I'll be remotely patched in there. I'm flying out to Gavin McGinnis's show, and then flying out to whatever from there. It's just like ongoing. So
right, back to whatever. Have you ever you've seen that, right, Neil? The whatever podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be like they just didn't have an Andrew there, and so now that they've gotten a trial, they just can't let you go, right, Andrew? They need you over there.
They seem to like me over there, yeah.
Yeah, That's awesome. Mary Smith, 99.99. Thank you so much. Thoughts on evolution? I do have thoughts. We can get into it. I mean, Neil probably
right
has the
into
same
it.
thoughts.
Get right into
I think evolution, as it's proposed, is completely bunk, nonsensical. Now that isn't to say small adaptations don't occur within organisms and so forth, but the storyline of evolution, it's so insane and mythological itself, so if they say, well, this is the religion I believe, I would say, okay, fair enough. But evolution itself, I love doing live streams about it because you take certain questions like, how do you get populations from non-populations? I've still yet to hear an answer. Maybe T-Jump would answer this later on in the show, but I can do endless streams on evolution and different angles about evolution. So,
what do you mean by populations? Like, what do you mean? How do you get there? Like, what's your objection to it?
Well, here's what happens usually is people describe evolution, but they appeal to what already exists, which is there's two sexes in all of these groups of animals, and then they say, well, sexual selection. Well, that assumes sex, which is populations exist, but the way they describe everything from populations onward is where they keep it. And then you ask, well, what happened before populations? Like, how did, I always ask this rhetorically, but it's also a valid question. Did we have 1/8 of a dick for like 50,000 years? And what was the use of it? You know what I mean? Like, so the methodology.
No, I think it's hermaphroditic.
Until what? Then what happens though?
That's a good question. I'm not an expert, so I couldn't answer.
You guys' mics are night and day difference in volume.
Oh really?
Yeah. I'm louder than Neil?
Yeah. I think Jimbob, you need to come up a little, and Neil, you need to come down a little.
Okay. How about that? Better?
A little
How's
more.
that?
How about that?
How's that good? Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Mm.
Am I good?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Andrew. I appreciate that. Yeah. So you're saying hermaphrodites, there was a world just pure hermaphroditic organisms, but the same question, it's like, how do you take that as the norm? And according to evolution proponents, they're doing just fine with that mechanism, right? So isn't it against the law of conservation and everything else to spend all this other time and energy toward creating something that you don't actually need for procreation? So if you already have everything in-house, right, why would you outsource and create a division that now necessitates that two different lives need to exist and survive in order to have sex, if it's all internal, right? What is this jump?
I think what you're getting at was the main opposition to the theory to begin with. But I think what Darwin came up with, and that's been built upon, is the idea of the environment affecting things. That wasn't
right
in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. So even if you said the environment is the causal external pressure on a hermaphroditic, organized group of things, right? So you still have to explain how does the mechanism pushed by the environment suddenly produce two sexes, right? Like, what's the input from the environment that says, okay, guys, it's time to grow a dick now, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that would work. But
yeah.
what if we put that aside, so we can't understand that right now? What about the idea of passing on genes to your children your children have traits that look like the mother and the father, and you can
that would be a different question, because now we're back into population. T-Jump.
But I'm
Tom.
saying
sorry, let me welcome Tom. How's it going? Everybody hear Tom? Okay.
Okay, testing.
I can hear you pretty good. All righty. Well, thanks.
It's a nice fashion statement you got going on, Tom. Is it cold where you're at?
Yeah, it's -10.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here in Michigan too, but it's not -10.
Buffalo. I'm in Buffalo, bro. It's crazy.
Oh, Buffalo's oof. I grew up in upstate New York, Neil.
Yeah.
Depressing in Buffalo. I don't, it's dark and flat. Tom, we were just talking, we went right into evolution, but I did want to bring up more, not as deep conversations. Just so you know, Tom, this panel can get into debate, and we're fine with that. But we're also just kind of hanging out and doing commentary on certain things. I try to pull some stuff from culture and get reactions from different people. So this one I thought was interesting, and I wonder what the response would be. I see this trend. I'll let Tom go first. So Mar Galceran of Spain makes history as Spain's first parliamentarian with Down syndrome, but it doesn't stop there. Jeff becomes the first person with Down syndrome to be hired as a paid deputy. What's your take on this? Is this like progress from your view, Tom? I don't really fully know your view, but what's your reaction to that? Is that progress?
Sure. So allowing people to work in positions without prejudging them as unqualified is definitely progress. Sure.
What if the prejudgment of qualification is accurate?
Well, there wasn't a prejudgment of qualification. Neither of the articles you said listed said they're pre-qualified simply because they have Down syndrome. It seems like you're making the biased assumption that because they have Down syndrome, they cannot do whatever job they're hired for without actually giving any references to their qualifications or not. You just said, oh, look, they have Down syndrome and they're given a job. And it seems like you're implying that that's a bad thing.
What if they were given the job because they had Down syndrome and it was like an affirmative action just extended to handicaps? Would that...
Sure. So if they're qualified for the job and they're given an opportunity to find a job at a location that offers it, yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because the problem with this one in particular is that we know now that law enforcement has lowered its standard for qualification for women. So it just seems like this is now the next step down, which I don't think is a great thing to keep lowering the standards for things like law enforcement, if that's the case.
Well, nowhere in there did it say they lowered their standards, and I haven't seen any data that showed they lowered their standards for women. So depending on what job he's been given and what things he specifically is qualified for, it may have nothing to do with the standards of a normal law enforcement officer. Like most likely he's going to be a desk clerk.
You haven't seen any data that law enforcement has lowered its standards for females?
No.
Have you seen any standards that law enforcement, or I'm sorry, that the military has lowered its standards for females?
No.
None. So you're just unaware of this phenomenon, basically?
You've presented no evidence for it. You've just asserted it's the case. Like the standards aren't that high for either military or cops. Like saying they've lowered the standards is like saying you've taken below the rotten barrel of the fish and said you've lowered it. Like there's not a lot of standards.
What are the standards for the military?
You just have to go through the training and not have any debilitating diseases. That's essentially it.
Yeah, but I mean, the standard for the training, there's requirements for being able to pass that standard, right?
Yes.
And you don't think those are difficult?
No, they're not.
Well, what are they?
Being able to go through basic training. That's it.
Yeah, but what's the requirement to get through basic training?
There's lots of different requirements, but they're all pretty low. Like it's not rigorous. Most guys in their 30s could do it. Like you could do it, and you're not very physically fit.
Oh, well, I mean, I was in the military.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I was more physically fit then when I was in. It wasn't in for that long.
You could do it now. Like you could pass the test. It's not that hard.
I don't know if I could pass it now for combat arms. No.
Combat arms? Like what? You mean you couldn't hit the target?
No, that's not the test. It's a physical regiment. So just the push-up standards are different between female soldiers and male soldiers. In the Marine Corps, same thing with pull-up standards, same thing with sit-up standards. Across the board, they have lower standards.
Okay, I don't care. Can they still shoot a gun?
Yeah, but you have to carry a gun, and it weighs a lot to carry tons of equipment when you're out in the field for miles and miles and miles. That's why they have physical fitness standards, not just about shooting a gun.
Yeah, for like Navy SEALs and things, for most of the part, you're not doing that. For the vast majority of the military, is you sit and wait in a room.
So if you're in a combat role, that's not Navy SEAL requirement. You have to carry full battle rattle, it weighs a lot. And yeah, you do have to be physically fit. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. That's why women don't do very well in combat arms positions, and they're basically never in them.
That's great. So they haven't lowered the standards. Congratulations. You defeated your own point.
No, they have lowered the standards just for them being able to pass in basic entry into the military. They've lowered standards across the board. And they also,
but those aren't combat arm positions.
In combat arm positions, they also have lowered the standards for women.
That's great. Well, you just said that women don't occupy those positions, and regular military positions aren't.
I just said it's often.
Positions. I don't care. I don't care.
Don't do it
has nothing
often.
to do with what I said. So
yeah, but
as
they've lowered them for women.
Stop interrupting.
Shut up, Tom. they have
Dumbass,
done it.
keep your mouth shut. So
Or
I just
what?
debunked you.
What are you going to do,
I'm
Spur?
going to mute you on my end. So I don't
Oh,
have to
no,
listen to your
don't mute me on
garbage.
your end, Tom.
So
I have a-
you're done. You're done.
I have another
You're
question.
gonna cry.
You're
and run?
done. You're done.
Yeah, you're done.
Goodbye. You're done.
You're done.
You're done.
Don't
You're
leave.
Oh, you're
done.
copying me because you're too stupid to come up with your own insult?
I guess I'm not
dumbass.
done. If you can still hear me.
You're done. You're done.
So, Tom, I have a question. If you go on a plane, let's say you go, across the country, and you get into the plane and you see Jeff here has switched from the deputy to the pilot position, would you just assume that he passed the test? And then, would you feel confident in Jeff here flying the plane?
Yes, because of the standards of the TSA. If he didn't fly past the test, he wouldn't be able to fly.
What if they lowered the test, the standards? Would you still
They
be
didn't.
confident?
They
No,
didn't.
if that's what an if is. If they lowered.
Well, if you're making up hypothetical examples in Magic Fairyland where things don't happen, then sure. In Magic Fairyland where things don't happen, I would act differently. Sure.
Well, I mean, they did try to do affirmative action with air traffic controllers, so it's not entirely in fantasy land. That
I
this
haven't heard of
actually
any
happens.
women crashing planes because of affirmative action, or African Americans crashing planes. Hasn't been a thing.
No, I'm just saying, no, you're not following. If you can do affirmative action for one group, you can extend it to another group, right?
Yes. So if they're qualified as pilots
Yeah.
and can fly the plane and pass the test, I don't care if
Okay.
it's because they're black and got affirmative action or if they're white
Mhm.
and they pass the test normally. Either way, they pass the test and can fly the plane.
Okay, gotcha. What do you think of this headline? Russia banned transgender from being able to adopt children. What's your position on this?
Not the worst thing Russia's done. They mass murder people.
So it's, I mean, not whether there's something worse, but is this progress?
Progress. No, but Russia mass murders people, so I'm not really looking at Russia to the standard of progress.
So if they did that here, would it be regress or progress?
No idea.
You don't know?
Probably regress.
Okay. So do you think that they should be able to adopt?
Yes, they're humans.
They're humans.
Yeah, adult humans.
Do you think they have a right to adopt, or
I guess so. I don't know what that means. A right to adopt.
let's say, do you think they have a right to someone else's womb?
That doesn't make any sense. That's a stupid question. No one has a right to someone else's womb.
So if you can answer it, then it's not really a stupid question, because someone might say, yes, we do have a right, actually.
Well, it's a stupid question because it has absolutely nothing to do with the original topic. Like, why would transgender people being able to adopt have any correlation to someone having a right to another person's womb? That's why it was a stupid question, because you asked a question that has literally nothing to do with the original topic.
You seem very upset, teacher.
What did you mean by that, Jimbob?
Well, I meant like that in the whole field of industry of adoption and surrogacy, these things are not these things are interlinked, right, as systems. So one might inform the other. What things? The category and the industry of adoption and surrogacy.
I have no idea what that sentence even is referring to.
It means that people who are interested in adoption might also be interested in surrogacy, that they're both focused on the same field.
What?
Access to children, access to wombs.
Yeah, but they're giving up their children for adoption, right?
Who is?
The biological mother or whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the issue of womb. I was just jumping to whether or not someone could make the argument that someone deserves to have children, and that because of that they have some sort of affirmed access to someone else's womb, like a machine. Right.
That literally isn't a coherent sentence. Why would someone deserving to have children have anything to do with having ownership of someone else's womb? That makes literally no sense. That's not a coherent question.
You don't understand the question?
Sure. I don't think anyone with
if there are women who can grow children, right? They can be
sure.
Right? Is that can you follow that?
Yes,
that women actually women grow children in their stomachs. You know that, right? Okay.
Sure.
Can men do that, Tom?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So no.
Well, no, the answer is actually yes. In the future, we will literally be able to do that. That is, the answer is going to be yes.
That's unfalsifiable.
That is definitely falsifiable.
How would
and
it not be literal?
How?
Do you even know what the word unfalsifiable
Yeah,
means?
tell me
Are you
what it
so
means.
illiterate in
Tell me
philosophy,
what
you don't know that means?
unfalsifiable means. Tell me.
Falsifiable means it can't be proven false.
Right.
So
How
this-
could
this-
I prove? How could I prove that false? It's just something you made up.
I can just give you like a year. In 3,000 years, it'll happen. There, now it's falsifiable.
Yeah,
Are you so dumb you don't understand that?
How could it be falsifiable for me right now to say that? That's
Are you
false?
so stupid you don't understand that the concept of falsifiability doesn't apply to the immediate present? Are you really
Yeah,
that dumb?
Again,
Yes,
right
you
this
are.
second.
Yes.
Right this second. Could I prove that statement wrong?
Right this second, you can't prove any statement right, you idiot. That's not what falsifiable means. Learn philosophy.
So again, so you're saying in the future, in 3,000 years, if I was around in 3,000 years, then I could prove it wrong.
No, that's an example of a falsifiable statement, you moron. So I made the
Okay,
statement
so
falsifiable.
how in
if
the
it
world-
doesn't happen in 3,000 years,
Mhm.
the statement is falsified. Very
Yeah.
simple.
Do you know
That's-
that
again,
having
you're an
glasses
idiot.
doesn't make you smart?
Yes, but
Yeah.
being compared to
Are you
does.
sure that you
So
are you sure that you know that?
I do know that. This is very, very simple.
Are you
Like,
sure?
It's not hard to
Yeah.
understand how.
Yeah.
You can-
So can you give us a
Why-
time
why-
and day
shush,
when
shush,
men are
shush,
going to be
shush,
able to get
shush,
pregnant?
shush, shush,
No,
shush,
you
shush,
shut up,
shush,
dork.
shush,
Shut up,
shush,
dork.
dumbass,
Tom,
dumbass,
jump. You're a
dumbass,
dork, John.
dumbass.
Tom.
Why are you bringing
dork,
up like
dork,
contentions to
dork,
obvious things?
dork.
Like,
You're a dork.
are
You're
you
a
so
dork,
afraid
you're
I'm
a
going
dork,
to debunk
You're
you?
a
You don't wanna
dork.
let me
You're a
talk?
dork.
CJ,
You're a dork.
I
Shut
have
up,
a question.
Can we
I have a
get him to
question.
shut up?
Shut up,
Oh, no,
dork.
First, I'm gonna.
No. You're not going to do
debunk
shit,
this
dork.
dumbass.
Shut up, dork.
Can you-
Shut up, dork.
I have
I'm
a-
gonna wait
I
for
have
him
a
to stop.
question.
I'm
Shut
gonna,
up,
no,
No,
I'm gonna
keep
answer
spurging.
first.
You're spurging.
I'm
You're
gonna answer
spurging.
first
You're
and then
spurging.
debunk
You're
this
spurging.
dumbass, and
You
then
keep
you can answer
spurging.
another question.
You're still
So could you-
spurging.
could
Still
you stop
spurging.
him
Still
from being a
spurging.
dumbass
Still spurging.
at
Still
any time?
spurging. You're still
Jim,
spurging.
Jim,
You're
Jim,
still spurging.
like if
You're
he's
still spurging.
Well, no, you
he's
guys
such a
are
You
both
don't
moron.
run the show.
guys are
You're
both
still
going.
spurging, bro. You're still
Yeah, I'm just
spurging.
trying to answer the question,
still
which was asked to
spurging.
me, and he's
What
not letting
question?
me
I
answer
didn't
it.
even ask
So
you a
I'm-
question.
I haven't done anything here, so
Yeah,
can you
you're
get him
still
to stop
spurging.
so I can
Yeah, I have a
respond to his
question.
dipshittery?
Here,
Can you
I
stop
have a
spurging?
question.
No, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm going to
No,
respond.
you're gonna keep
to
spurging.
his dumbass.
No, you're gonna keep
and
spurging.
Then you can answer.
You're
it.
gonna keep spurging.
What was your question, CJ?
So no. The question was we were bringing up the topic of can men produce children in the womb? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. By definition, it is logically possible to do that. Is it physically possible? Yes, it is physically possible. There are actually lots of studies where you can surrogate like a womb or something into a human man artificially, and they can grow a baby. Yes, that is possible. It is not even that far away. There is nothing controversial about that. Andrew's just a dumbass. This is not even a hard thing to think about. Can we technologically change men physically so they could grow human? Yes, clearly. That's not even hard. We do transplants all the time. This is not a controversial.
Can you give me an
point. Andrew is just
example? Can you
a
give me an
dumbass.
example of that ever
So
happening?
stop talking, dumbass. Stop
Are you
talking.
ever going to stop?
Stop
Are you
talking,
ever going to
dumbass.
answer my question?
Stop talking, dumbass.
Do you have an
didn't ask a
example?
question. You literally
I
said
did.
you
I
didn't
literally
ask a
just asked you a
Shut up.
question.
Shut
Can
up.
you give me
Stop
an
interrupting.
example, Spurg?
Shut up.
You're
Shut
still
up.
spurging.
Shut up.
You're still
Yes.
spurging, you fucking
Shut up.
dork.
He did,
Answer
shut
my
up.
question,
Shut
dork.
up.
Answer
Shut
my
up.
question,
Shut up.
dork.
Shut up. Shut
Answer
up.
my question.
Shut up.
Hey,
Shut
tell
up.
people
Shut up.
why it is
Shut
you
up.
charge
Shut up.
$50 to go on their
Shut
show
up.
when you're the
Shut up.
worst
Shut up.
guest
Shut up.
anybody's ever
Shut up.
had.
Shut
The
up.
worst
Shut up. Shut up.
fucking
Shut up.
guest.
Shut up.
Do you
Shut up.
remember
Shut up.
when your stupid
So,
simp called
are
me
we-
and
is
was
this-
like,
is this all we're
"Will
gonna
you
do?
give me
Is this all we're gonna do?
$50? Can you give me $50 to come on your show?"
T-Jump, it's got to be a back and forth, though. It's
So
got
I
to be.
need to be able
hold
to
on.
finish the
No, hold on.
sentence, and then
T-Jump, hold
someone
on.
else
To
can
be
speak.
fair,
So-
you
no,
said
this is not going to be fair. So I was.
No,
No, it's not
I
going
was
to be
saying
you made
fair.
a
It's going to
claim.
be
You made a
rules.
claim. You made
I
a claim.
was saying a sentence and got interrupted. So you got to stop and let me finish the sentence, and then the dumbass can speak and just prove
made a
I'm the
claim.
dumbass.
Yeah,
So
okay.
first I get
Moron.
to finish the sentence.
Moron thinks that men can
You
get
asked
pregnant.
a question. Are you done?
You
Are
think
done,
men
you
can get
idiot?
pregnant,
So,
T-Jump? You're a
is
fucking
it
genius. You think
possible?
men can get
Yes,
pregnant?
yes. Is it logically
Can
possible?
you get
Yes.
it?
You know
Can
what that
you
means?
get pregnant
No,
right
you're a
now?
dumbass.
Can they get pregnant now?
Is that the same sentence, you fucking
That's what I
moron?
asked you. Literally what I asked you.
No,
but
it's
your
not.
show's fucking
No.
retarded.
Oh.
You couldn't hear what
Can
I
we
said
get-
because
can
you
we
were
get this-
spurging.
Can we get this idiot off the stage?
No,
That'd be
dumbass.
great.
Answer my question.
So
Can
can we
men
get
get
this idiot
pregnant
off the
now?
stage? I'm not going to answer anything you said because you're.
What,
a
no,
dumbass.
you're
So I'm
not,
gonna
'cause you're a
only
dumb
address my
fucking spurg.
points
You're a
and
stupid
annoy
spurg.
you.
You don't
By
even
the
know
way,
how to have a
mute this
conversation.
dumbass on my end so I can get him over with. So
So wait, you said it's easy.
I'm not.
To
No, I'm not done with my
trans-
sentence. So I'm not going to answer anything until I get to finish.
He's just
Oh,
gonna
fuck
spurg.
off. I don't like
He's
him.
just gonna fucking spurg.
Is
the
there anyone
entire
else who
time.
wants to come on, Neil? He's unbearable. He's like a little old lady. You know, like.
I don't know who I can get.
You know, I mean, it's just simple. It's like if you say like men can get pregnant. We already can do it. We do implants. And Andrew says, "Can you give me an example?" I mean, it's not, that's not the worst question to ask. mask. He already came in like a terrible,
Came in fired.
terrible attitude,
Came in-
fighting. He's give him a shot. I mean, he wasn't my first choice, but I figured, oh, well, maybe we can, ask him some questions. About. He's unbearable.
I did not expect that to happen at all. I thought he was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tagawa $5 T-Dump is actually worse than 304's Andrew. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think he was trying to go home. I don't think he wanted to do it. That's fine. Now, obviously, it would be better if we had someone from the Atheist. I wish Doug. I sent him the link. But he didn't. He's a little afraid. I think he's a little afraid because we're We're scary over here.
Tell him no. Tell City Jump he come back on $50. $50.
You can pay. Yeah, you can pay $50. T Jump. Yeah.
If I tell him to not do that shit, what about? Can we give it?
Yeah, if he's just cool. If he just look, I don't want to kick anybody off. I want to have a good, productive conversation with him.
I can't.
Just ask him. Ask him to just not spur. No, let's let him come back. I just don't want to have a spurt fest.
All right. And not.
Yeah, I mean, they could get into decent topics. It's just that he's like, it's like he's sitting on a pine cone. Like it's just a hangout.
Yeah, we're just chilling, dude.
That's what I try to say. I mean, I don't know why he got so. He did come in very defensive and fiery. That is very true.
Yeah, we're just going over some things. Want to get someone's take on some of these topics. There was other ones. I wanted to bring up this, see if he supports the unaliving pod that hit the market. But if he can't, I mean, it's almost like he can't even engage. It's like it's just give him a shot though. Asking TJ not to spurg is like asking Abuela not to make tortillas. That's correct. Abuela, don't make tortillas. What are you doing? What do you mean? Yeah. Where's BS Lewis and his gang? Get some of your atheist people over here.
Yeah,
we're just doing a hangout,
right? Yeah.
BS Lewis. Who else?
Lewis.
Any of you guys? Come over here.
Got to be someone, right?
Take his spot. I mean, geez, it's brutal.
Hang on, I got to pin the dono chat.
I'm gonna mute myself.
I got some.
I'll be right back.
No problem.
Right.
Sean, all of a sudden T-Dump can operate. Fairyland, he always does this. I don't know why I thought it would be different. 2 + 2 = 6. Not yet. It is unfalsifiable. You can't just say like it'll happen and we go okay.
No, it won't. It's not unfalsifiable in 3,000 years.
Yeah, totally.
In 3,000 years, if I live 3,000 years, then it's not unfalsifiable.
Man, I wanted to get into his like overall view of like the best society possible and these kind of things, but he couldn't even make it through just topical stuff, like the icebreaker stage. Imagine a chick on a date with that guy. Holy shit. Iron, I want your wife.
Does he do debates?
Iron, no, he stays in the comments. Iron does.
Hang on. Let me see if Rolo wants to come on for a bit and chit chat.
That'd be cool. Well. That'd be cool.
You guys hold the show for a second. I'll get some good folks in here.
Okay, yeah, let's get some people over here. The concept is obviously, atheists and theists and agnostics hanging out, talking about things, and maybe it gets contentious or doesn't. But that just started off. I mean, you couldn't even get on the ice skating rink. It was insane.
Now I have no idea how is that really the definition of unfalsifiable that you can.
Well, you got to be able to. Yeah, you got to be able to. You got to use an experiment to basically falsify it, nullify something, which is just as valuable to the process, right? So, it's a shame because Andrew didn't even get a chance to ask him could he cite the scientific method. That would have been great.
Should we? Since he's getting someone right now. Wait, what was that? I didn't see it.
Someone I don't know if they were taking a shot at me. Are those all straw men in your background?
Are those all straw men in your background?
No.
So
they're actual characters.
Back to evolution.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think I wouldn't know how to answer the question of populations like you're saying. I have no idea. But we put that aside. That one topic aside and looked at like microevolution and what we can see going on right now with genes being passed down, what would you say would happen if that process continues for a million years? Don't you think that would end up becoming macroevolution?
Genes? No, not if you're saying macro means one organism in one form changes completely into another form.
But it's not like they give birth to a new organism.
No, I know, but if it's the case, it's long form. There has to be a moment where one isn't the other, right? So
not really, because it's so slow. There is no way you can tell from one.
Yeah, that's question begging. It would be like saying like, well, the process, we don't really understand how, but we have to assume that it happens. But we can't tell you how because it's so slow that we can't even observe it or conceive of how that happens because it's so slow. You know what I mean? Oh, he's back. Should I let him on?
Yeah. No, I do want to just have a chill session, dude.
Okay,
I don't want to have problems with any of these guys.
Nice. He's back. All right.
Sounds good. So as long as I can finish
let's keep it chill, man. Let's keep it
we'll just keep it
well,
chill.
I'm not the one who was interrupting, so don't talk to me. We were talking about, can men produce children or something? Is that possible? Yes, that is biologically and physically possible. In fact, there are many species that do it. So will it be impossible in the future? Yeah, it will be possible in the future. This is not a controversial point. But again, wanted to go back to what Jimbob was saying, something about is trans people having the right to have children. How does that relate to having the right over someone else's womb or something? That didn't make sense to me.
Okay, that's fine. Let's say I just made a category error there. I was just getting to, if someone says, well, we all deserve the right to have children so long as there's some technology that permits it, right? What if they took that position? Would you say, yeah, I agree with you? Should it be compelled with law and force if that was the case?
I didn't follow the question. So like if people have a right to have children, like biologically, you mean?
Yeah, like do people have the right in any particular way that they could get their hands on children, including
well, no, that would be
adoption?
No, you don't have the right to kidnap kids.
Okay. So, and then would you say we don't have the right to someone else's biology?
Sure, like every individual should have freedom over their own body. That's why I'm pro-abortion.
But isn't there another body involved?
Yes. So the rights of both the woman and the child are equivalent. They both have the right to their autonomy. Neither has the right to use the other person's body without consent, which means the woman has the right to eject the baby and the baby has the right to eject itself or to volunteer to be ejected if it could, but neither has the right to remain in the other person without consent.
Can a 7-month-old in the womb consent?
Can a 7-month-old in the womb consent? No.
Okay.
What does that have to do with what I said?
Well, because you said, your standard was that, both have to consent, right? But then you said if the baby could consent, but it can't consent.
No. Each person has the right to consent over their own body. So the woman has the right to say, I don't consent to another person being in my body, and they can force the person out. And the baby has the right to say, I don't want to be in another person's body. And the baby, if it was a mature adult who could consent, would have the right to leave or be removed. But neither has the right to say they want to stay or force the other to stay without consent.
Okay. So do you believe in rights then? Is that
Yes.
You have okay. How would you justify rights from your view?
How would I justify rights? I'm a moral realist. I believe morality is objective.
So what does that have to do with rights?
Rights are an extension of morality. Rights are the expression of moral freedoms.
Okay. So so do you think they exist or?
Yes.
In what way do they exist?
They're facts of reality, that their moral statements are either true or false, like any statement. So they are as true as facts of gravity.
Can you observe a right?
Can you observe a right is a description of a moral truth. Can you observe a moral truth? Yes.
But a moral truth is different than a right, though. So,
well, a right is, again, an expression of a moral truth. So, can you observe an expression of gravity? Like, no, because it's just a mathematical model. Can you observe gravity itself? Yes. So you can observe the thing. An expression of the thing is like a consequence or something.
So the answer is you can't observe rights.
Right. You can't observe rights because rights are an expression.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that, Andrew? You like to pick at rights a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of confused on the objective moral realist. So you're an objective moral realist, and you believe that there are rights. What is the kind of grounding for moral realism that you would use from your worldview?
Moral naturalism.
A naturalism. Okay.
Moral naturalism. Moral naturalism is a model of morality specific in philosophy. It's a Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You can check it out. Moral naturalism is the grounding that morality is a natural thing in reality, like physics, laws of physics, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I did read, this was a while ago, there was a debate that you had, and I read a critique, I guess, from the guy who was debating you. I can't remember his name now, but he was kind of getting into it. And of course, you can critique basically any philosophical school that you want or school of thought that you want. There's essentially, I think, pretty good valid arguments against most for, kind of different categories which are within them. When you're talking about rights, when they map onto reality, though, in this case, if you're talking about like constitutional rights, would those kind of mash pretty well with what you consider these objective moral rights to be?
No, I'd say that they were closer than most other models at the time, but like all models, they are incremental. And so with each subsequent model, you get closer and closer to the objective one. And so I think the Constitution was better than pretty much anything else prior to it, with only a few exceptions, but it's still far away from the absolute objective truth. Just like in science, you make a model like Newtonian gravity. Newtonian gravity was closer and better than anything before it, but it was still far away and was replaced by a better one later.
So if you were talking about like the Second Amendment, how would that flow inside your model?
I think everyone should have rights over themselves and their property. So if they should have the right to bear arms, sure, yeah, you should be able to own guns. Yes.
And if you have the right to own guns, does the state have a right to do things like background checks?
Sure. I don't see a problem with a background check.
Well, I'm just wondering how is this an objective standard for owning a gun then, if there can be an intercession to kind of take it away from you?
So I would agree with you in that one, that I think it is immoral to take away people's guns, of anybody, no matter how evil they are. Taking away their guns without consent is immoral because you're limiting their freedoms, but it's justified. So it's a justified immoral action. You're doing one bad thing to prevent a worse bad thing. So like putting someone in prison would be an immoral action, even if they're a murderer, because you are infringing on their rights, their consent. But if we don't put them in prison, they're going to hurt other people, which is going to be a greater infringement of consent on those other people. And so we do the lesser evil, which is put one person in prison to save 5 innocent people. Same thing with guns. So background checks and restricting people from getting guns is a justified immoral action done to prevent harm, greater harm to others.
It kind of almost sounds like threshold deontology in a way. Like there's a threshold where you would say that you kind of would move over towards consequences more than you would duties.
No. So deontology is about the moral nature of the statement. So if there's a threshold where where an action becomes moral, or when it was immoral, so like killing somebody was immoral, and then threshold deontology says once it meets this threshold, it becomes moral to kill the person. That's the opposite of what I said. I said it's immoral.
But wouldn't it become moral then to take the gun away?
No,
isn't that what you're saying?
Justified immoral action. So still immoral. That's what the immoral word means.
So,
but
let me ask.
So then, from your worldview, would you do it?
Yes. So there are immoral things I would do in order to prevent greater immoral things. Yes.
It just sounds like a threshold that once it's reached, you would do the thing.
Yes, that is the threshold. The objection of what I said, of what I was objecting to when you said threshold deontology. Deontology says this model, the action becomes moral. That's what the threshold is. It goes from immoral to moral. So it's not like mine, because mine never becomes moral.
I'm trying to figure out what makes it immoral if it's justified for you to do it, and you would do it, and you would do the immoral thing. Wouldn't that be the moral thing?
No. So you can do a bad thing and have it still be bad, but it'd be less bad than another thing.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be the moral thing?
No.
Like inside of this prism?
No, that would be subjectively the best thing you can do. Does that make it objectively moral? The answer is no.
Now, what is the difference between this and utilitarianism? Forgive me for being dumb. It sounds very similar.
Utilitarianism would be more in line with threshold deontology, where it says the action that does the least harm is the moral action. So that would be like what Andrew's saying. So like if killing one person would say 5. It's moral to kill the person. My model says no, it's still immoral to kill the person. It's just the least bad thing you can do in the situation. So it's still
So
bad.
it's just not how you define it, kind of, in a way.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this. So when you observe something occurring, what about the observation tells you whether something's right or wrong? Like, what's the actual standard when you observe the thing in reality?
Well, it would be based on a law of physics. So my model is that there's actually a law of physics, a moral law out there, and you could actually measure it and determine if the action was right or wrong.
Wouldn't physics suggest that anything you're observing is just a lawful effect of some previous cause, though?
No.
Isn't that what physics is?
No, it's literally the opposite. So physics is non-deterministic, so it is not the case that all actions that happened are determined by prior actions. It's the consensus that it's indeterministic. It doesn't do that.
Wow.
So when we refer to physics, like, X causes Y or something like this, like water boils, or like even more basic, like pressure goes from high to low. Are you saying that's not an effect that's determined?
That is an effect that's determined, but that isn't what your question was. Your question was, does physics say that all things are determined by prior things? The answer is no. There's quantum effects. Things do not always determined by what prior effects. Physics is the study of the natural forces of the universe. It has nothing about determinism or indeterminism. It's independent of that question entirely. So if there was a law of physics that was moral, that would not in any way be incompatible with physics or what physics stands for.
Okay, so then if that's the case,
what makes it moral?
The law would make it moral. If there is a law.
Yeah, but this is where I'm kind of confused. I'm trying to figure this out. And just kind of bear with me here as I try to figure this out. I know that I'm just some dumb, wrencher out in the middle of nowhere, but trying to figure out what actually makes it moral or not moral. It's a subjective prep, because you said it's objective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what actually makes this thing moral? I know that you claim it's a law, right? But I'm trying to figure out what the grounding is for the morality exactly. Like, how do we know that this is moral?
So it would be like gravity is objective, right? It exists independent of what anybody says, right?
Well, I mean, the effect for sure, yeah.
In every scenario?
Well, not the effect, literally the object. The curvature of space-time is a thing that exists. No opinions matter. It's an object. It's a thing, right?
Space-time exists?
Yes.
As an object? What is it composed of? What are its natural properties?
It's a field.
Space-time is a field, and what is it composed of?
Field stuff.
Field stuff. Okay, I'll take your word for that. Go on.
So there is a field. It's called space-time. It exists. Gravity is the perturbations in this field that exists. It's subjective. There's no opinion.
The field that's made of space stuff.
You're talking about atoms and void. It's space stuff. Atoms and void.
Well, no, it's not atoms. Fields are more prior to atoms. I could actually give an explanation, but it's literally irrelevant to the conversation. So, are you with me? Fields are objective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you grant fields objectively exist independent of opinion?
Okay, fields exist and they're made of field stuff. Go on. So this
is a question. Do you accept fields?
Field stuff? Yeah, we granted field stuff.
Well, no, I'm asking. Do you?
We granted it.
Fields.
No, I don't accept it because it doesn't
objectively.
It hasn't been fully explained, so I'm going to grant it because I don't know what field stuff refers to.
Do you grant that everyone in physics, the consensus in physics is that fields, stars, black holes, those exist objectively, right?
I grant that there's a consensus. Yes.
Right. And I'm just trying to find a common ground here. Those things exist objectively because they're objects that exist and no opinion changes them. That's what it means to be objective.
Okay.
So if there was another field, like a moral field, it would exist objectively.
And that would be moral stuff the same way.
Is there a consensus? Is there a scientific consensus? There's a moral field?
No, there's not.
Okay, so this is I guess what I'm getting at is, what is this moral field? Where is this moral field? How do we know this moral field exists?
Well, I use the evidence of patterns of intuition and moral progress and the answers to philosophical problems and dilemmas in morality, field of philosophy, ethics. I think that of all of the fields of ethics, moral realism has the most evidence. God has no evidence. And so I grant that there isn't any strong evidence for objective morality, but the best we have is moral naturalism, and there is none for a God. So it would be a better grounds than a God for morality.
Yeah, well, we can. That's fine. We can leave God off the table. I guess I'm not as concerned with that as I am just kind of wondering. I understand that you're utilizing this as a better explanation for, but where's the actual proof of this moral field?
There isn't any proof.
There is no proof. Okay.
So wouldn't it be equal to God theory?
Well, no,
Based on
there's
evidential?
more evidence for it than God. There's no contradiction.
What evidence is there as matter in the world of this moral field?
So the way evidence works is you see a pattern in reality, moral intuition, moral progress. And if that pattern is consistent in the same direction, you make a hypothesis. There is some cause to this. This cause would be a moral field. And you make predictions and say, if these predictions come true, that would be evidence of the pattern, the hypothesis. That's how evidence
works. Kind of I got it. There seems to be a problem though, because when I referred, you said there's like a law like physics, right? But not identical to physics, right? Like like physics, right?
No, it is physics. Everything is
so
naturalist.
Okay, great. So if it's physics, but when I asked about the physics and the laws, you said no, laws aren't actually objectively causing things to occur.
What I did not say that. No. Yes, laws do cause things. Essentially, yes.
Okay, so in your view, is morality an effect that's caused by previous things?
What? No, it would be one of the
emotion.
fundamental things, kind of like the four fundamental forces. It'd be like an extra fundamental force.
So it's an effect, or is it a cause?
It's a cause.
So morality, in your view, is not an effect; it's a cause.
Yeah, it's like a fundamental force.
So what's the effect?
The truth and falsity of certain actions being moral.
So it causes itself?
No. So it's like,
isn't that the definition of morality?
Yes, that is the definition of morality.
So morality causes morality, it sounds like. Otherwise, how are you defining the effect?
So if there's an
your
object,
brain should hurt. Yeah.
It does, because what you said is so dumb. So if there's an object that acts as a definer for a set of values, it's not circular. That's not how circularity works. So if there is an object that is a square, and the object is what you're using to define a square, that's not circular. The object is the definition of the thing. It's the cause of the thing. So if the essence of morality is an object, then what makes something moral is whether or not it corresponds to that object. This is not circular. That's not what the word circular means.
So we'll walk through it one more time here.
Okay.
Morality is a cause, right?
Yes, it is a thing that exists which causes. Yes.
Okay, and it's physical.
Yes.
But this is your theory. You haven't discovered what it's physically. It's just like, it must be physical, right? And what you're saying is this force called morality causes effects that you call moral, right?
It's the grounds of morality. Does that make sense to you? Do you know what that word means?
So the ground.
The cause and effect language is not meaningful.
Wait, which word? Which word? Grounds? What is that? Yeah, go ahead. Explain it.
So if something grounds morality, I imagine you're both religious, so you believe God grounds morality. Is that circular? No, because if morality is an object, then the object itself and the properties of the object define or cause moral statements to be true or false. So if morality is an object, like a moral field, then the things that will be moral will be correspondent to that field. So that it makes those things true or false.
Does it ever produce not moral? Doesn't that mean that there's a thing called immoral, that it's its own force that causes different things?
Immorality is the privation of morality. You should know these silly arguments from theists.
No, hold on. You're not arguing from a theist position though. So I'm just trying to try to listen to what I'm asking, and So if you're saying morality is a force, and the effect of that force causes good things to happen, are you saying
no?
No, it's not that.
Cause good things. It determines what things are moral and what things are not moral. It doesn't cause.
Wait, how do forces determine if minds determine?
The same way forces determine what a charm quirk is, or what spin up and spin down is. It literally determines all of the properties in reality. That's what the forces do.
How does a force develop its own categories? That it knows what categories
are the categories. They don't develop anything. They are the categories.
So they're effects of. Okay, so there's a force called morality that produces, in your view, these extensions or effects of that force.
Again, I have no idea. Morality is this field. It defines what morality is. It is the essence, the ground of morality.
But what does define mean? Absent a human using categories. I don't understand how a force can define something. I'm not understanding how a force.
I think he's saying
Good question. I'm
that
not,
essentially what the force shows us in reality that most people based on intuition do, that's what we're calling moral, I think.
Other way around. So there's a force of morality, just like there's a force of gravity. It determines why things fall. That's gravity. It does it. It doesn't define anything. It does the thing. It literally is the thing. There is a force of morality. It is morality. That's it. And then we experience morality in the world through moral intuition and moral progress. And we can come up with definitions, just like we do for gravity, to try to match that pattern. And then when we have these patterns, we say, oh, look, this pattern points to some kind of a thing that exists out there.
is it evolution that leads to us experiencing this morality?
No, I would say it applies outside of evolution.
Okay, so when you reference, like, let's say gravity, you're saying that the effect we see of falling, are you saying in your view it's caused by what we call gravity? Or you're saying it's identical to gravity?
It's caused by a thing that exists, which we call gravity. Yes.
Okay, so if gravity in this analogy is morality, right? Same. Yep. Okay, so if gravity is the cause of falling things,
yes.
You're saying the morality, if you were to swap it in this instance with gravity, you're saying
moral intuition and moral progress would be the phenomenon that you're asking about.
Okay, progress, right? So what causes one to discern what the progress is?
What does that mean?
So you look out.
Let me try to answer. We see changes in conscious views of morality over time, and those changes follow a pattern, a specific pattern, a single direction. And so the question is why is it singularly directional and not random or have a spectrum? Why is it the same? And if it's the same because of an underlying cause, like a law of physics, that would be like why we drop things. Why does it always go down? Because there's some underlying thing in physics causing the same pattern every time.
I got it. So my question is, if morality is like a force in the world, like you're saying gravity is, and there's effects, does morality, as you're presenting it, have an effect on how you see things?
Sure.
So there's a physical effect from the force of morality that has an effect on your very interaction with the external world?
Yes, by definition, that's it's a physical law.
All right, so if morality, the force, has an effect on how you observe the world, how do you know you're at the effect of morality or not morality in your observation, your very processes of observation?
How would I know whether I'm under the effect of morality or not? What do you mean? Like,
so you just said you yourself, your very thinking, your engagement with the external world, your very interpretation of the external world, right? The act of putting a value claim on progress out there in the world, which you're calling a moral effect, if morality, as you're saying it, is a force that has an effect on you, right? A feature of this world, I'm asking you, how do you know you're at the effect of morality in your processing of the external world?
I'm not sure the question is there. So like, how would I know that it affects some beliefs and not others or something? It's like, there's a hypothesis that morality exists. The hypothesis says there's this past pattern we see in moral intuition, moral progress. This past pattern is explained by the hypothesis. If the hypothesis is true, here's some future prediction we would make that if this prediction is confirmed, that would be evidence of the hypothesis. If the prediction is confirmed, that is evidence of all of the entailments of the hypothesis. So it says that humans are affected by morality in such a way, and it would determine that since the hypothesis is that forcing people to do things they don't consent to is wrong, then every time we force people to do things we don't consent to, or feel that that's wrong, that is the effect of morality. And if there's some contradicting feeling we have, like drowning babies is good, God apparently had that feeling, then that one would be contrary to the hypothesis, because the hypothesis says that what's moral is any violations of people's consent. And if there's evidence of the hypothesis that it's true, then we could imply that any beliefs that drowning babies is good is probably just an immoral being that we shouldn't trust.
Okay. So let's make it more simple. There's two people and they're both at the effect of morality, and one might be at the effect of the absent or the privation of this force, right? What I'm saying is if they both interpret the external world, right, and some set of events that they make a moral judgment on, right? Some evaluation that they call progress or not progress, moral progress or not moral progress. I'm saying that how are you going to separate out someone who's at the effect of the privation of this moral force, and how are you going to verify that you are in fact at the effect of the moral force while you're observing the external world, not after? Because that's begging the question. I'm asking if morality as you're presenting it influences how you interpret what you call progress, then how are you going to separate yourself from someone else who might be at the effect of the privation of this force?
Novel prediction. So if you have two alternative hypotheses and you say my hypothesis makes these predictions, yours makes these predictions, whoever gets it right is the one that would say their model, whatever it is, gets to determine which beliefs are the ones that are correctly correspondent to reality and the ones that are not.
So let me jump in. Is there anything like metaphysical concepts like love have anything to do with this? Is there like some sort of like determining? Is there some sort of terminologies we can like?
Well, that would be under the category of an intuition, I would think, right, TJ? Like love?
Maybe. I mean, like intuitions apply to pretty much any feeling. So
the reason I'm
math is
asking
an
that,
intuition,
and that's just one example, love or whatever. But the reason I'm asking that, I'm trying to figure out how is this not metaphysical? How is this natural?
Well, metaphysics is just the fundamental nature of reality. So metaphysical naturalism is metaphysics, but it's natural. So metaphysics is just the fundamental nature of reality. If that's natural, then naturalism is metaphysics. So there's no contradiction between metaphysics and naturalism. That's not a thing.
So wow. The category of metaphysics, what's some object you would include in the category of metaphysics?
Reality.
Reality. Yeah, like the reality out there, like describing the external world reality.
Anything that exists. So metaphysics is just the fundamental nature of reality.
Okay.
Circles don't exist. Circles are concepts in our brain.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to. Do circles exist at all?
No, circles are concepts.
Well, this breaks in. The super chat comes in from NSX. He says, "Why don't sociopaths, psychopaths, and many criminals feel this moral force? What evidence is there?"
The same reason blind people don't always see things. So the fact that there is a force or there is an objective truth out there doesn't mean that everyone's always going to see it the same. So like light is an objective thing. We agree is an objective thing that exists. Does that mean that everybody sees the same? No, because you see through a medium of your biological body. And so the fact that there is a moral objective force doesn't mean that everyone's going to be determined by this force to believe the exact same things. Just like the fact that there is light doesn't mean we're determined to see things.
Okay, so you said circles don't exist because it's a concept. Isn't reality a concept?
No, reality is a description of things that exist.
Aren't descriptions appeals to concepts? We couldn't describe anything without the use of concepts.
Descriptions are
right?
concepts. Yes, descriptions are concepts.
So we can't describe reality without using concepts that you deny the existence of, right?
Correct. The concepts don't exist. The object does exist. This is called a sense reference distinction. The sense of the object, the concept doesn't exist. The reference, the object itself does exist. So when I say reality, the word reality, I'm not saying that exists. That is a concept. You're right. That doesn't exist. I'm saying the object to which the word refers, that exists.
Okay. The object exists. They're not the same.
Correct. The word and the object are not the same.
Okay. So then if the morality is a concept, you're saying the thing that you're saying exists is just a force, just like any other force in nature.
Yes.
And that some people might not know they're not at the effect of it, and some people might be at the effect of it and also not know it, right?
I don't know what that means. So like forces affect everyone whether or not
right,
they know. So
right, exactly.
The knowing is irrelevant.
Well, if you're sort of equating it with some other forces, you know, when we jump or do anything else or like throw something in the air, we can sort of participate in something that we call gravity and its effects, right? From your view. So like,
hey, I'm sorry to cut in, but KS asked for $5. Says, I'd ask a question, but according to physics, the answers come first. I don't That's kind of funny.
Anyway, seems like a bad joke.
So the question is, if not many people could deny that there's some effect of jumping and coming back down, right?
Sure.
Like it's pretty common. Like I don't know, some percent would be pretty high, right? of the consistency in our experience. So what would you say the consistency of experience is that suggests that we're at the effect of a moral force that's causing an effect? Like what would be the
based on
things?
polls in the field of philosophy, quite a high amount actually believe that we are under some moral realistic force of some kind.
And then based on that being the standard, what percent of the world currently...
Well, just to clarify, I wouldn't use that as a standard. That's just appeal to popularity. It doesn't matter how many people think that we are or aren't. So like prior to 300 years ago, no one knew about the electromagnetic force or the strong force or the weak force, and no one could interact with them. And so no one believed such a thing existed, but they still did. So whether or not people believe or can do things to understand that there's a force is just irrelevant. I don't really care.
Well, isn't your whole model appeal to intuition though?
Patterns and intuition. So it's not saying I have intuition, therefore I'm correct. It's saying there is a pattern in the change of intuitions over time. There's some objective pattern.
Oh shit!
And that objective pattern is indicative of some underlying cause to the pattern.
Okay.
What is
Doug?
Doug.
Okay, Doug, I figured this out. I know why you're mad at God, Doug.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep it a secret. Don't.
No, I got it figured out.
Bathroom bag, beer bag.
Okay,
right.
no problem, man. It's because he took most of your hair, isn't it, Doug?
See, I told you to get. Nobody would have noticed if you wouldn't have brought it up.
Damn.
But I got to congratulate Jimbob here. Like, this is amazing. You have 310 people watching, and you're talking about philosophy. I mean, the most boring thing on the planet.
I know. Well, I tried not to.
But Doug, I have 1,000 people watching, Doug.
I know, but you got skills. I mean,
oh no,
you fucker. I try not to go into philosophy.
I feel like that was a really good tit for tat from Doug. I instantly came on. I talked some shit. He go right away with the rejoinder. It was good, Doug. It was. Hey, how you doing, man?
Nice Doug's professional. Doug's quit. He's quick. He's always been quick. Well, then that means like we have to change the subject, right? Because we're getting deep into stupid objects.
Okay, hang on. Show him the unaliving pod, bro.
Yeah, let's just go right to. Let's go. This is the unaliving pod. It's hit the market.
That was cool.
You're done in 5 minutes. You crawl right in there.
Did Elon Musk make that?
No, he probably wishes, but it's some Baltic nation, I'm sure. So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. The other that you missed, Doug, the celebration of Parliament, right? And Deputy Jeff. And I'm trying to get a sense of I asked Tom if this is progress. I'll ask you the same thing. Doug,
stop it, Doug. You're making me laugh, bro. Stop it. Stop
it. Is that progress, Doug?
To have Down syndrome kids be officers?
Yes, is it progress?
Well, T-Jump says it's progress. No, T-Jump says it's progress because
he did.
You can't demonstrate a moral standard, Doug.
No. You want big, strong, manly men being on the police force.
That's
right. You want to lower the standards so that kids with Down syndrome can be on the police force, Doug. Come on, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, but didn't we already say we haven't determined if they lowered the standards for him? We don't know if he's qualified or not.
We don't know. It's a headline. It could be just like, when they send the kid out in NFL at halftime and they run the thing, it might be like that.
T-Jump, you just hang on real quick. I'm sorry. I really don't mean to cut you off, Neil. You haven't spoken very much, but Elion asked for $5 Canadian. How does T-Jump empirically prove the moral force of nature without causing sense data, which leads to circular reasoning?
That doesn't lead to circular reasoning. So novel predictions, you predict something we don't know yet. You get it right. You can confirm that by using sense data. And that's evidence. It's not circular. So circular is, for those who don't know philosophy, is when one of your premises is in the conclusion. If I say, I have a hypothesis, morality is true. If this hypothesis is true, here's a prediction we haven't discovered yet. And then we discover that prediction, that would then be evidence of the conclusion, the hypothesis. There's no premise in the conclusion there. It's not circular.
I would like to answer that question. It is circular reasoning, but it's virtuous.
It's good. It's good circular.
I've heard that from Theist before.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from Theist. They helped me out a lot. Like, God bless them.
Circular vicious cool, as long as they're virtuous.
The virtuous, vicious circularity distinction is something made up by theists and doesn't actually really exist in the rest of philosophy.
I know, but I think it's actually clever. I like it. I mean, it's a good try.
It's good when God does it, just like drowning babies.
Yeah.
Well, just I don't know, Pine Creek, if you've heard his view before, but he's saying that morality is like a force, like gravity is a force. And I was asking how he would know someone was at the effect of this force called morality, or how would they know they were absent the effect of morality while they're looking at the world and making judgments, not after, while, because it seems like, Tom, your view is look to the world and that'll determine whether or not you're at the effect of morality or not. I'm saying, how do you know the force, as you're saying it, is not affecting your very interpretation of the world before you come to your conclusions?
So I don't quite understand that. So like,
well, before you answer, Tom, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut in, but Pine Creek Doug, where's your beer, dude? Go get a beer. What are you doing?
You know, I'm trying to lose weight because
you gotta have a beer with me, Doug.
I don't have any in the house. I could ask my born again Christian wife to go buy some alcohol and cigarettes if you like.
Do it, Doug. Take one for the team, brother.
Hey, Kath. I would love to smoke a cigar during this.
Logan says $5. B.S. Lewis wants to join if you want to upgrade to your sophistry.
He's my subscriber. Don't let him in. No,
don't let him. He's going to simp for you. Yeah. Okay. No simping. Well, maybe you'll replace him when Doug gets tired.
Well, we'll get right back to T-Jump, but Kathuski asked for $5. How is morality a force if it can be ignored and nothing is actually objectively compelled by it?
It's like gravity. Like the forces are determined by their magnitude. So like gravity, we can fight against gravity. We can jump up and down. A strong force, you can't do it. No matter how strong you are, you'd never be able to overcome a strong force. Gravity is 40 orders of magnitude weaker than the strong force. And if there's a force that's 40 orders of magnitude weaker than gravity, you could essentially just ignore it. It would never affect you. So the fact that there is a force doesn't mean you're determined by it to do whatever the force is attempting to do. So again, it's the same thing as before. Forces do not determine you to be subject to them unless they're super forces.
Me and Tom disagree here.
Are you Googling or?
No, I'm sharing the link. So
hang on. What's the disagreement? I got to hear the disagreement here. What is it?
Yeah, what's the disagreement?
I think I want to make sure I don't straw man T-Jump. Tom, you think morality is objective, right?
Yep.
Yeah. See, I don't.
Me neither.
Yeah. So I would say on some things it's pretty close. We can get closer, but for the majority of things, no, it's relative.
It's really a mixed bag. It's really
wait a minute, Doug. You just contradicted yourself because if you said even one example is objectively true, then you
but I'm saying it could be. I am open to the idea of morality being objective. Like maybe God is real and is the foundation, and that's why. But even then, it's subjective because exactly.
Doesn't that just mean it doesn't exist though? I don't know why you would say, it's subjective, but in this instance it does. I kind of agree with Tom that if you were to say it's subjective, it's almost like saying it just doesn't exist. Whatever you're
objective morality,
to,
doesn't exist. Yeah.
So it's not even subjective morality. It's just something you're calling morality that's likely a preference or something you don't like. So, but then it doesn't make sense because if you carry that over, I always use this example, like it doesn't make sense to go eat.
Why don't you shut up, Jimbob, so that because I could see this. I want to hear the views. Yeah, you kind of just jump right in. He cut everybody off like
he wants the atheists to disagree with each other.
I don't care if the atheists disagree. I just want to hear the distinction in the worldview.
I'm just tired of hearing the subjective morality. Just be honest and say morality doesn't exist. Nothing's actually wrong or immoral in the world. Just say it.
Well, when you say actually, you mean objective.
Like X event action is just
but
wrong.
I could concede for sake of argument that objective morality exists and say, so what? How do we know what it is? I want to know what it is. And each specific case, like there's so many things we do in life. Is this right? Is this wrong? There's some clear-cut ones, but a lot of them are gray areas. If there's this objective morality out there, I want to know what's the reliable way to tap into it. And if you say the Bible, I mean, most people in the world will laugh at you. If you say the Quran, the Muslims might say, yeah, cheers.
Most people?
Novel predictions, Doug. It's novel predictions.
Most of the world are not Christian, Jimbob.
Oh, the Bible. Okay, fair enough. I was going to say like some
actually, I think book. Isn't the majority population of the world Christian?
No.
Are you sure?
It's
If we
2.2
take
billion.
if we take the segment of the various beliefs, isn't the largest belief Christianity?
Okay, depends what you mean by segment. What are you talking about? Like 2.2.
Well, I'm just saying if you take atheism and then agnosticism and then all the different world religions, isn't Christianity the largest?
It might be close, but yeah, you could be right.
I think it's the largest.
But you know the people who claim to be Christians are flag waving phonies, though, right, Andrew? You know that.
Yeah, so are a lot of the people who claim to be atheists. They don't give a shit.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
So what would you ask T-Jump here if he's saying it's a physical thing? I mean, wouldn't you have what kind of contentions would you immediately have if he's trying to make it a natural occurrence in the world?
How to measure it?
Yeah,
Right.
and how would you falsify that claim? Like, I kind of think it's unfalsifiable, isn't it, TJ?
No. So it's like I make novel predictions.
Hang on. Do you know what unfalsifiable means, Doug?
It means your mom.
It means you can know
Make
when
sure
it's
you
wrong.
know what unfalsifiable means, or you're going to get
Actually-
it here, Doug.
Yes, some novel predictions. I have a hypothesis that makes predictions about how things will change in the future, and if it doesn't do that, then that would falsify my hypothesis.
Okay, like the future that we're evolving to a better moral world every decade, something like that. Make that
Sort
prediction.
of. So my model is that all conscious life forms will develop a morality that follows the same pattern, which is that involuntary imposition of will is wrong, forcing people to do things they don't consent to. And the more resources and intelligence you have, the more kinds of imposition you will see as immoral as time progresses, and that's
You
why
should say excuse me when you burp, T-Jump, because there's a 5% of women watching right now.
If I
if you
could
want
burp
that other
again,
audience.
I would do it. If I could just like as hard
Keep
as
it
I
under
can.
control, T-Joe. Keep it under control. Kidding.
Okay, but let's say you make a prediction under your model.
Yep.
And 100 years go by and you have certain metrics and the world is better. Couldn't you attribute that to something else rather than this moral law?
Yeah, but that's irrelevant. So like you can always do that with any hypothesis ever. It's called the problem of underdetermination. So you can say like, if Einstein is right about gravity, he predicts gravity will cause light to bend around the sun. Couldn't you explain that as something else? Well, yes, obviously. There's infinitely many other things you could explain that as.
But how would you
other
show
than
the causal link, though? That's what I'm getting at.
the prediction part? So if you are able to predict it will happen before we know it and get it right, that's evidence of whatever your hypothesis was. And if someone else can just say, well, I can just explain that as an alternative, that's called post hoc reasoning. It doesn't matter. So the causal link is whichever hypothesis can predict things consistently before we know it and get it right. That one is the one that gets all of the attribution.
Okay,
of
but
the
if
evidence.
two make the same prediction, but they're different causal things. Let's say one's God and one's the moral law, then it's what do you do then?
50-50. So like if you have two hypotheses that make all of the same novel predictions and they both get them right, they both get evidence that you can just pick whichever one. You'd be rational to pick either one.
Flip a coin and become a Christian.
But
Well,
you're talking about causality though, Tom. So wouldn't it, for you to do that process you just summarized, wouldn't you need access to the cause and introduce it and remove it?
No.
You don't need that for sort of the hypothesis that you're posing?
No, you don't need access to the cause at all. You need access to the effects. You don't care about
So
the
how
cause.
do you know when the cause is absent, but you have the same effect, like Doug asked? How would you know?
Novel prediction. So if you have a model that has predictions, and the predictions say the cause is, I don't know, an invisible sky daddy, and the invisible sky daddy will heal your legs whenever you pray to him. You can't prove it wasn't aliens. It could be aliens. Like if every time you pray, an amputee's limb gets healed, only when you pray to Yahweh. That's evidence of Yahweh. Like, could you eliminate the fact that it could have been aliens? No, you can't, but that doesn't make a difference. Again, that's underdetermination and post hoc reasoning. It's still evidence of God because you used a hypothesis. You were able to predict future things no one else knew and get it right. And even if it happens to be caused by something else and you got it right by luck, it would still be rational to believe you and your hypothesis because you were the only one to accurately predict the evidence of the future.
Well, I mean, if you take that to like, let's just say we observed for 100 years the movement of the stars, and I observed it and documented it so much that it was rich in my mind, such that I can recall it at any time, at any point, and I can tell someone right next to me that I predicted something. So as long as I introduce a cause, even though really the cause of knowing this is just observation over time and documentation, so I have access to data.
Well,
But
that wouldn't be a novel prediction. That would be something we already know. So novel means something we don't already know. Like if you predict the sun's going to rise tomorrow, like anybody can predict that. It's based on past data. But if you predict, so novel prediction doesn't mean looking at the past data and predicting it will continue. It's looking at the past data and predicting there's something that's going to change in the pattern that we don't expect. So like mine is that we will see rocks falling on people as immoral. That's a prediction I make about distant future. That would be break the normal pattern of what we consider morality. And if that's right, if sometime in the future the consensus is that rocks falling on people is immoral, that would be great evidence for my hypothesis, because no other models predict that. It's a very extreme hypothesis.
Does the force of morality, in your view, cause earthquakes that kill people?
No, that's gravity.
Okay, but can gravity be immoral if it causes the same effects as morality? As your moral force?
So the gravitational force and the strong force and the weak force, they're different forces. They act differently. So it's not like one force forces or affects the other force. So if there's a moral force and that moral force can determine what is or isn't moral, that doesn't mean it affects or the other forces have anything to do with that or affects that.
This is why I asked the question, Bobby C. Thank you, $10. I don't understand how morality could be physical force like gravity that causes effects. Is there a threshold that is reached at which morality causes effects on inorganic matter? I would actually add, when it doesn't, how would you know it's not affecting some other, like, lower forms of matter? Like if we're just pure matter from your view, Tom, I don't understand how morality is only peculiar to this thing you call a human, this clump of matter, but not, a deer or some other, waterfall. Why wouldn't
deer?
Why
yes.
Would there...
So all conscious agents include deers. So
right,
we actually
why?
know it does, that morality does follow the same patterns in
when
lots of animals.
When a lion eats another animal, is it because it's another species that makes it okay? Is it where's the morality?
Any killing of any conscious agent ever would be immoral. Obviously, the lion doesn't have the same level of intellectual acuity we do, and so it wouldn't feel the effects of morality to the same degree we do.
But it has
the
to
lion
do it to
didn't see
survive, though. It has to.
The fact that something has to do something to survive doesn't make it moral. It's a natural appeal to nature fallacy. So something can have to do something, and it's still bad, like my previous example.
But this conflicts with natural selection and evolution and survival, right?
Yeah, those are immoral. Those are horribly immoral. Evolution is
terrible.
terrible.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know.
Evolution's immoral, yeah.
Yeah.
Doug, you were going to say something. I saw your eyebrows go down. I saw your hand go up.
Well, I'm not an advocate for lion jail. I just want to say that. I think
bear
lions
jail,
should
we
be
call it over here.
free to roam around and kill what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're making a prediction of let's say morality is going to get better, by what metrics do you use to say it is indeed better? Because if I'm in 1950 and I say make a novel prediction that by the year 2024 men can menstruate, and we made my prediction was right, but you could still say, well, has morality actually gotten better?
Right. So just saying it gets better is nothing. It doesn't give us any explanations at all. So my prediction is I look at the pattern and say the change in morality is any involuntary imposition of will is immoral. And as time goes on, we see more involuntary impositions of will as being immoral. And so I'm not just saying things get better. I'm saying as we progress, we see more things as impositions as immoral. So like stopping men from menstruating, or stopping trans kids from having adoption, or stopping men from having in vitro uteruses or whatever. Like all of those things would be impositions of will, which society as it progresses will tend to begin to see as immoral. So mine isn't just things will get better, is that as time progresses, we will begin to see more impositions as immoral. So there's specific examples of what we will see, not just things will get better.
B.S. Lewis asks if assisted self-deletion is immoral.
Perfectly moral.
It's moral.
Yep. As long as it's a consenting adult who is a healthy state of mind, perfectly moral.
And how do you determine that? I mean, I might sound stupid, but I'm just wondering.
Leave that up to a psychologist, people who are experts in the field. I am not.
So I have another question. I just have to get more clarity on this. If morality, in your view, is
hang on. What's the next topic on this?
Okay,
Did we have a bunch of shit here? You're holding the whole thing hostage just to rip T-Jump apart.
Sure,
and the thing is, it's like, fine, that's fair enough. But we got tons of shit to cover here.
Well, yeah, you can introduce another topic. Doug, feel free to. Any of you guys can. It's just, to me, we
Doug,
can sort this out in a
curious
debate.
Because you have been something. It's kind of interesting. There is this. It's a strange phenomenon, but there are atheists and Christians who align politically across the board in ways that are very, very strange. And I see you over there. You know, you're kind of a sneaky bastard, Doug. Like I watch your program from time to time. It seems like you want to utilize us as some kind of political force in order to institute some kind of crazy right-wing lunatic agenda, Doug.
Secular Christianity, we call it, right?
You're giving away all my secrets.
Yeah.
First you mentioned the hair and now this. I mean,
What's going on with that, Doug?
You're a secular Christian populist. Prove us wrong.
Totally.
I think it's like I went to that what's it called? Turning Point America Fest 2023
You
last
went to
month.
Turning Point USA, Doug.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
did he?
come
No.
on.
Did
I
he?
did.
You went to
that
Con
was
Eat
to-
bullshit.
As a interviewer. My friend
Oh.
Reed had a booth and I was conducting interviews.
He's got clips. You can watch the whole interviews on his channel. It's
Yeah,
great.
in real life, Pine Creek. And so I think politically, you can, on many different issues, Christians and atheists and Muslims can align and have the same view. Like I agree with a lot of your points, Andrew, that atheism is kind of a dead end and they're really bad at reproducing. I encourage atheists to have more coitus, but only if they can afford their kids. I don't think you should be dependent on the government.
What do you kind of do, though, about this materialist issue? So when I think about this issue, this one's really a hard one to get past for me. So I think to myself, what if Doug is right? What if T-Jump is right? What if I'm some kind of like fringe lunatic and I just hold on to these values because they're comfortable and I can just kind of outsource my thought patterns to other people who can just kind of tell me what is or isn't moral, right? But then I think to myself, you fuckers don't breed at all. And you're going to make the entire human race go extinct. And so why shouldn't we kind of follow those values? That's the thing, Doug. Like, how do I reconcile that, bro?
Just to clarify, what was the materialist
Christian,
problem?
that's how you reconcile it.
What's that?
Be a Christian then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just kind of think about it and I go,
I actually think most people can't handle being an atheist, to be honest.
It's true.
Are you saying that you're a little too highbrow for me, Doug?
Me, T-Jump, and Neil, like we out-evolved evolution. I mean, you're looking at some really rare species right now.
You're talking about the deadness inside.
Neil did
You
not
always-
out-evolve evolution, bro.
No.
Come on.
No, it didn't.
This guy, if there was a missing link, they would slap Neil right front and center. And people
bad.
would walk by and
So
they'd be like,
bad.
well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But in all seriousness, Andrew, you bring up a very good point because I think religion exists for a reason, and it is to give hope, meaning, and purpose, and to aid in things like reproduction. And it is a huge void in the atheist community, if there's such a thing. T-Jump is actually trying to make some type of atheist church to fill that void. I think T-Jump, it's in vain. It's never going to happen. Because in order for a community to really coalesce...
that becomes like the cult of personality, right?
The Church of Physics, right?
Yeah, well, in order for a group, a community to really bind together, they need something that it's almost like they need a crazy belief to get around, to come around together and say, you believe that too? Like, look at the Flat Earth Society. Those
You mean
guys
like
are
objective
tight.
morality?
It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would be the?
I
what
thought
would
of
be
this,
the
Doug.
ritual-
I know.
No, hang on.
Noise.
It's a way more, isn't it a way more seductive message, T-Jump, to be like, just coom, bro. Just coom without consequence. Let's just zoom, boom, coom, right? We could just go out. We can have all the promiscuous sex that we want, absent the consequences, because we've got all this birth control and shit like that. Isn't that a way more seductive message?
Actually, no. So there's actually a number of studies on this that show that the most successful kinds of religions are the ones that have the most strict, litigious kinds of ridiculous limitations on your actions. So using people's guilt is a more effective method than using a carrot.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Damn.
I am so sorry. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Andrew
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
care
I'm
about-
sorry, T-Jump. Go
don't
ahead.
apologize.
I'm a
Don't
man who's
apologize.
not offended.
Andrew doesn't
apologize.
care about female followers, so it's all. That's just normal. So what would be the ritual in the Church of T-Jump then? You know, are there any rituals at the church if you were to?
We can
have
make
it?
some for you.
Yeah. What? I mean, what would something be? I mean, what's the goal? What's the ultimate goal if you were to have a church?
Oh, the goal is my morality. So my morality of limiting the amount of things we force people to do. So like lowering the cost of living, providing affordable housing, providing affordable medication in America.
But that kind of contradicts what you want to do, because in order to lower housing costs, you're going to have to interfere with the market.
No.
Because why the housing price is high right now? Isn't it not the market?
Well, it is, but we don't have to interfere with the market. We can just buy a building like anybody else and then keep the prices the same. And so we haven't violated anybody's consent. We've consensually bought a building.
So free will socialism.
What? No, because we're still making a profit. We're making a profit. What are you talking about, Doug?
They're in the market.
If you're making a profit, then it should happen organically. You don't even need to. Like, why isn't it happening already?
It is. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, actually? I guess I got to figure this
out. So,
like,
the goal of the church is to provide affordable housing, not free housing, affordable. So we still charge money for housing. We buy an apartment building, rent out the rooms. We just keep it at an affordable rate. So it's going to be slightly lower than the market rate, but it's still making a profit. Like there's no market rate.
Why do you think affordable housing doesn't exist without that?
It does in many cases. It's just not preferred. The market prefers money. Owners prefer money to not money.
But yours would still be for profit, yes?
Yes, but for less profit. So people don't usually voluntarily limit the amount of profit they make.
Why would someone,
good people?
If their goal is to make money, why would someone make less money instead of more money?
They wouldn't.
Then why would your plan work?
Because our goal isn't to make money. Our goal is to be moral. And so we make as much money as possible while being moral, which is less than the market.
Right. But then it's like I said, it's free will socialism. It's or benevolence. It's
I want to know have you talked to an economist that actually said that this is possible? Because the market seems very competitive already. People are already trying to get lower. They're trying to get people to rent their.
What already exists? Like there's literally a multi-million-dollar foundation here in Minnesota called the Greater Minneapolis Housing Fund, which has about 1,500 units, and they offer them at affordable rates, and they give loans out. So the loan I'm applying for is like 1.4 million or something. And this is a massive thing. So these happen all over the place. There's lots of places that do this. It's just not what typically people who own buildings want. What they want is money. And this isn't socialism is the means of the production being owned by the people. This is not socialism. It's still private, still like the church owns the things and it still makes money. It just doesn't make as much money as it can. It's kind of like the difference between a payday loan versus a standard loan. Payday loans are meant to gouge you, so they make as much money as possible. Whereas a standard loan doesn't charge as high rates or interest rates, slightly lower, because it's not as evil. And so we can do even lower than that and still make a profit. It's just fine. The markets are not that competitive. The markets are garbage. They overcharge an insane amount for no reason whatsoever, other than they want money. It's not competitive. No, it's competitive to make more money.
I don't even know where to start with these socialistic ideas. I mean,
what's the definition of socialism, Doug? Let's go.
Well,
I want to get in on this.
Yeah, I'm being tongue in cheek, but go ahead, Andrew.
Well, no, you go ahead, Doug. I didn't mean to cut in. I'm just saying I also would like to kind of dive into the socialist aspects of these things. So, T-Jump, when you define socialism, you don't consider the march towards socialism to have to be complete before you're kind of at least expressing that these are ideas which might lead to that and likely will, right?
No, they won't. Like that's a slippery slope fallacy. Like, so.
Yeah, but the slippery slope fallacy is only really fallacious if we can't point at a slippery slope that happened before. Like we can look at the communist revolutions of old. We can look at the progression of homosexuality in society, things like this.
How is that an example of a slippery slope of people providing less than perfect market compensation leading to socialism? Because that seems to be the slope you're implying. Is that?
Yeah, because we're not talking about a command economy where there's a dictatorship. We're talking about the free market's still there. You still have choices. You still have. T-Jump's talking about entering into the market and not being the governmental command economy that you guys.
Hey, that's fair enough. I just kind of want to hear the outline. I'm not trying to even do a criticism just yet. I just want to hear an outline, kind of what he's after here.
Well, I'm not after anything, so I'm not trying to redefine economics. I'm starting a company, which is a nonprofit company that provides housing. So we're not doing anything to the government.
I thought you said it was for profit.
Well, no, nonprofits still make a profit, Doug. So nonprofits are
So
not.
they have to pay the CEO, right? Who is
Yes,
you?
nonprofits.
Right? Who is you? You're going to be the
Yes.
CEO, of
Yes, I
course,
am.
right?
I'm going to be the Joel Osteen. I'm going to have my Styx Jets and my books. Absolutely. But yeah, so nonprofits still make a profit. They still fund the company. They still pay employees. The goal is just to not make an exorbitant amount of profit and to enable people to afford living so that they can spend money on other things that they want.
Is
Like-
$1 million a year too much profit for you as the CEO of your nonprofit, T-Jump?
I'm going 10 million minimum.
You're going 10 million minimum.
Okay, here's the problem I see with this T-Jump. Let's say you represents a small percentage of the marketplace.
Sure.
Okay. The value of apartments, the value of homes is determined by the cash flow, rental cash flow, or the amount of material it costs to build it, right?
Sort of. Yeah, mostly like the annual income times 5 or whatever.
Yeah. So if you're making basically no profit after you pay your employees.
Well, we're still making profit, Doug. Nonprofits are very profitable. As Andrew mentioned, if you just Google.
Okay,
top
fine.
5
You're making profit, but not exorbitant, right?
We're making it so that the people don't have to pay exorbitant prices to live. We can still make an exorbitant profit off
Right,
of that.
but you're making less than the scumbag
competitive-
landlord.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Okay. So now how do you scale up this? Because now, okay, you did it once and it seems like it's working. And now you want to buy another apartment complex or build from scratch. But the value of those apartment complexes that you're going to build, it takes money.
Yep.
And so what's going to happen is you got a plot of land that you would like to buy so you could scale up.
Sure.
You're going to be outbid by the guys who are making exorbitant profits.
Sure. If all of
So
the
how do
profits
you
were being
how do you
bid,
scale this up?
because there's lots of properties available all over the place.
I know, but you're always going to be over. Someone's going to bid more than you because they
No.
have more money.
No, that's not the case at all. Like people with more money usually selectively pick the best buildings, which I would too. People like the lower income buildings are not selected for at all. Nobody
No,
wants.
it doesn't matter what class of building is. If you
It does. Doug,
if it's an auction,
go to LoopNet. Go to LoopNet. You can find many buildings prices are dropping. Like there's one right next to the
I'm
University
not
of
disagreeing.
Minnesota.
With that. I'm saying you're going to be outbid because you're making
No.
less cash.
There are many buildings no one is bidding on. No one. Zero bids on a building. There are lots of buildings that are available that no one buys
Okay, why do people buy them?
because they don't want to, because they don't want the work. They don't want to try to repair it. They don't want to try to fix it. They don't
Oh,
want to
come
sell it.
on. Really?
Okay,
There
where
are
are you going
lots
to get
of
the
them.
money to repair them?
Right.
The same place we do ever. If we have an organization that's already making a profit, we already have the money to repair it. So like if I already had an apartment building, I could buy another one and repair it.
Is it true that you would have less money than another business who would have
Yes.
money to repair it?
Does this church require tithing?
So you're going to be out repaired.
Definitely.
Compelled
Compelled with a gun for sure. Tithing.
It sounds like the church of doesn't do it as good.
T-Jump, have you ever run a business before by chance?
Yes, I have 3 of them. Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. And are they services or products?
Services.
That's sure. Okay.
Dancing. What was the other one? Other two?
Hey,
pole dancing.
dancing. That's fucking Doug. Hyperbased asks, I got a few questions for T-Jump and for Doug, if you guys don't mind humoring me real quick. Hyperbased asks for $5. T-Jump's moral predictions can only be realized on the moral action of theists who make up the majority of the world's population. Is T-Jump just a theist, ultimately?
Or a deist?
It doesn't make sense. Like the fact that morality would be enacted
my
by
God.
people, most people
Finish chewing your food, you dickhead. What kind of shit
Who's
is
going to
this?
follow a church? Who's
What
going to
the
follow
fuck?
your church,
The
dude?
Church of Chews on stream?
I consent to eat and stream at the same time. So,
We do not consent. We do not consent to the.
so whether or not theists are people too, and also are affected by morality and gravity, it'd be like asking, is Einstein a secret Christian because gravity affects Christians more than anybody else? It's just a silly question.
All right. Okay, so this one's mean, but I'm going to read it because the guy sent in $10. Okay, I don't even know what he means by this, but he sent it in. He said, "Ask T-Jump if his girlfriend makes him prep the bull." This is your time for a witty
I don't actually
retort,
know
but
what
your
that
mouth
means.
is full. Your mouth is full. No witty retort. That's what you get.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that sentence literally means.
No.
Logan asks for $5. Are these morality particles in the room with you right now, T-Dump. Wouldn't they have to be, right?
Yeah, it's a field, so it wouldn't be a particle, it'd be a field. But yeah,
So you can't block it?
no.
No blocking the morality field.
Who put forth this philosophy? I'm wondering. Is this like some Kantian shit or something? Like, what is this?
Well, I did. It's my theory. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
this is
Well,
your
like
philosophy?
moral naturalism doesn't come from me, unfortunately, but my particular model comes from me.
Okay, with the field stuff, does that come from somewhere else? I've never. I think I've heard this, but it's never been convincing to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of models that think that morality is a natural thing. I'm specifically the only one who says it's a field as a way to just make an analogy to physics.
Wait a
But there's
second.
lots of models that say like
This is
it's
a great question.
natural thing.
T-Jump, Tagawa, $5. Thank you.
Yes,
Since the
it's
universe
immoral.
imposes conditions of life, is it immoral? Actually, from your view, if we don't have any say in the imposition of what you call morality as a force, that would mean morality itself, as you pose it, is immoral. A force that
No.
we have no say on its imposition on us.
No.
I think that's the end of your model.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think the universe is immoral because the universe is.
Well,
So-
the universe is a description of all these things, but we're talking about a specific force that we don't have a choice of its imposition on us, right?
No, it doesn't impose anything on you. It's a truth statement. So like if 1 + 1 = 2 isn't imposing on you the truth of 1 + 1 = 2.
Well,
So if
that's a
there's a fact
descriptive.
of morality, there's a facts that are true. It's not imposing on you the truth of those other facts.
No,
That's not how
morality
imposing
from
works.
your view you say it's causal, whereas math is descriptive. So your example of math isn't valid here. We're talking about
the truth statement is the analogy there. So if there is a fact of the matter that this is moral, like it's drowning babies is
Wait a
immoral.
minute.
That's not imposing anything onto you. It's just a truth statement. So like
Let me
the
jump
fact
in.
that there is a truth statement isn't an imposition.
So the universe unfolding in reality, we call it reality, right? Evolution is within. There's a process of evolution happening in the universe. There's all these different processes happening, and these are immoral. And your morality field is outside of the universe. It just is. It's how does the universe that's immoral produce these fields of morality that are moral?
So again, I mentioned that earlier, the strength of the field. Like if there's a weak field, like the strong force, and there's a strong or a weak force like gravity and a strong force like the strong force, gravity can't overturn the strong force unless you're in a black hole or whatever. So the forces can compete and go against each other just fine. There's no problem with this. So if there's a moral force, and it's not outside of the universe, it's just another force in the universe.
Another force. All right.
And so like gravity could kill you or make a Hitler who kills you, and that would be immoral, just like how the gravity can compress the strong force into black holes. The forces can do things that can contradict other forces or overpower other forces just fine.
So the question is, before we move on to another one, before we all get yelled at for Andrew for going back to morality, yes or no?
We had a great thing going. We did. We had a great thing going, and then you fucking ruined it.
I'm gonna abandon it. Forget it. Doug, I'm gonna give you the floor. You could say whatever. You can continue a topic or bring in a new one if you want.
Wait, have you guys talked about the patriarchy yet?
Let's talk about the patriarchy.
Yeah,
I
sure.
love the patriarchy.
Yeah. Another force.
Because it's very interesting. I've been watching some YouTube videos, been watching some of the things you say, Andrew, and people ask, or a lot of people on the left especially just assume that patriarchy is bad. And I always ask why. Like, what is it fundamentally bad? Is it
Because women can't be stupid, annoying bitches, Doug.
like I talked about today on my live stream where I said, didn't the patriarchy give women the right to vote? And
that was the biggest mistake they ever made.
What?
Right?
I think it's just
we had a good thing going here, and then a bunch of kind of weak, feminized men who were, well, they had their reasons, but Doug, it was bad. Wasn't it a bad idea ultimately?
Well, right now I'm leaning no, but I could be convinced otherwise because I have seen some scientific
Doug,
studies.
you remain unconvinced.
I'm like Matt Delonte here. I have seen some studies. Like you guys know I'm a naturalist, so I think we evolved, men and women evolved with differences for a reason because it helped our survival. But when I look at studies of there was like 5 basket of values, seeking truth, academic rigor, and one was sensitivity to people's feelings, something like that. And women always valued the sensitivity, those social things, more than men did.
Terrible voting patterns.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly right, Jim Bob. Like if you want to guarantee Democrat victories for the next, I don't know how many election cycles.
Let women vote.
No, don't. If you want Democrat victories, you would ban men from voting. If you want Republican victories,
Then how come the trends don't show that, Doug?
No, they
how
do.
Come no, they don't.
Like, did you hear what I said? If you want Democrats,
yeah, I heard what you said, but what I'm saying to you is that here's what the trends show. Trends show overwhelmingly that men vote Republican.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah. So
what Doug said was, if you ban men, Democrats will win.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought.
Why are Democrats winning with men not being banned then? Because of the women? Just that's what you're saying? Just
so women tend to vote for security. They tend to vote for security, and men tend to be more risk takers. So they don't mind being a little bit more bold, and they tend to not vote against liberties, or they tend to not vote also against economic interests. Women tend to vote more for security and social safety nets, and that's why you see more of them gravitate towards Democrat voting patterns than you do Republican voting patterns, whereas men overwhelmingly, well, not overwhelmingly now because we're so polarized, but traditionally it's always been that they voted more right.
Like they've actually done through exit polling. I don't know if you can make me big, Jim Bob.
Yeah, I can.
Don't make Doug big. We gotta see his bald head. Make sure that whole fucking thing covers your screen, Doug.
It's the best I could.
Was that counties? You got counties up there? Is that what that is?
Yeah. So through exit polling, if only men voted, this was, I think, the 2018 midterms. It would be 249 to 186 for Republicans. Now, the flip side is, if only women voted,
it would all be Democrat. Yeah,
it would be 275 to 160.
Yep.
And so you can get interesting stuff like this. So if women couldn't vote and we had the same idea of what Republican means, what Democrat means, Democrats would not win.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have a party
in America. Like if you actually do the same study in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, the Democrats still win.
Well, prove it.
I did. They've won.
No, well, what do you mean? Women can vote there.
That's not you can do the polls. Like you do the polls yourself. Like
show me the polls because I don't believe you.
There are a number of polls that show that the culture in those
name one
where both men and I can, if you want, I can pull them up.
Go ahead, name one. Name a single. No, it's not a non-controversial thing. You're full of shit. If women didn't vote inside of those countries, it would also be right-wing. T-Joe.
No, that's stupid.
Then prove it. I'll wait.
You made a claim. Prove it.
Well, to Steelman,
what you say? No. This is bullshit. Come on, T-Joe, show us.
I think what T-Jump is getting at is the divide between right and left is different in those countries than here, and that I would agree with T-Jump. Yeah. But I would also agree with Andrew that it would still, even though that divide's different, it would still lean more right if women didn't vote.
Yeah, it always will. Basically everywhere. Now, they do have a different dynamic on what they consider the right-left dichotomy, but essentially it's still the same. You're looking at people who will vote for social safety nets versus people who won't. You're still going to find that's overwhelmingly female inside of the Nordic nations as well. So this is almost across the board. This is one of the big problems. And by the way, this actually came up with suffragettes themselves during the time frame of women's liberation, the original first wave feminism. They would discuss this in depth, that they didn't want the responsibility of voting. And they thought that if they did, they could wreck things because they would vote based on, female intuition, things like this, which often moves more towards security.
So, Andrew, what would be your strongest argument against women voting?
Well, so here's what I would say. Initially, women didn't actually want that right. The overwhelming majority of women were against it. Now, the kind of the left-wing pushback which comes in is that, wait a second, no, that's not. Well, the reason is because they were indoctrinated by the evil fucking patriarchy.
What if I granted that and said, what about today, though?
Can I interrupt for a second? So I found the poll for you. The gender gap in Norwegian voting behavior, October 2007, Scandinavian political studies. In the period from 1957 to 1981, women in Norway voted less frequently for the socialist parties than did men. Oops.
Okay, send over the study.
How do I do that?
Just link
You
it in
just
my
Google
chat.
the gender gap in Norwegian voting behavior. It's the first thing that pops up.
I would
want-
add to that, Doug.
want-
Go ahead,
real
Neil.
quick, real
Go
quick.
I
ahead,
can
Neil.
almost guarantee it's not going to say what you want it to
It's
say. But
literally
we'll
the
dig
first
in.
sentence.
All right. While you're looking at that, I just want to say, even if that was true, that women didn't want the right to vote when the suffragette movement was going on, today that's a different answer. Women do want to vote today, right? So
Yeah, but
we're
that's
talking about-
because the mistake was giving women what they want to begin with. So I mean, appealing to their wants is a problem in general. Another problem, Doug, I think with voting is, the way we vote in a representative republic democracy, there's representatives, right, that speak or stand and promise on our behalf. And then if there's a representation of the house, right, the home, if it's not just the man, and it could be the woman and the man if they're split, right, it gives having this dual voting inside the house actually necessitates some sort of split.
Hang on, real
right?
quick. T-Jump, do you see to the right of the screen? You can link that study right there.
Uh-oh,
And-
study
and-
for study. Can we get some
Hold up.
studies?
I'm not on your channel.
Can we
I'm
get
on
this-
my channel?
No, you are. You joined via StreamYard. It
Oh,
just
you
says-
mean in StreamYard?
Private.
yeah,
There's a
StreamYard.
private-
You can link it in the private chat, right? In StreamYard.
And the study you just mentioned, T-Jump, read the second sentence.
I did read the second sentence.
What
So
does it say?
changed-
In
changed
most
that
recent years, this
women-
pattern has changed, so women are now more likely than men to support socialist bloc.
Which doesn't
Mm.
challenge the point. Which
What
was
a
explained.
shock! Yes,
So
it does, because this
No, it
is
doesn't.
this is part of the indoctrination principles that I often
The
talk about. Yeah.
indoctrination. So why did women not vote socialist for that 30-year period? What is it? Magic? Did they just
They were
stop
still
being women?
tradition. They were still traditional.
Yeah, they were still
Still
focused.
traditional?
They were still focusing on a different paradigm.
They didn't get
There's a
credit
new-
cards.
There's a new paradigm which is introduced, and if you think that
in
public
1980?
do you think that public schooling and college does not do indoctrination? Like, be honest. Do you think that politically these are not indoctrination centers for a lot of people?
Well, you
That
could
when
call
they
it-
go through college, they have a completely different outlook often. And
Yeah,
the
but
same
that-
thing even in high school.
Wait, you call it
Colleges
indoctrination.
existed back then in the 1950s. So
You can call it indoctrination, and other people call it education. I mean, it depends on how it's your own preference on what you want to describe this.
well, no, I think he's specifically mentioning that beyond the education, there is a political climate that influences the way you vote later. And yes, that's true. But colleges existed in that time period too, so it doesn't actually address the point.
Yeah, but colleges were not completely and totally taken over by the social left, and the social left has taken over almost all political and college institutions in the West. And they do this via indoctrination. Feminism does the exact same thing. Feminism uses what's called, and T-Jump, you're actually going to hate
Wait,
this. You may
so
may
just
not
to
know
clarify,
what.
just to
Hang
clarify.
on. I'm almost done. Then I'll let you
Alright.
talk. Have you ever heard of something called standpoint theory?
I've heard of it. I used to. That was a part of critical race theory, wasn't it?
No, well, this is kind of, but
Precedent.
what standpoint theory says is that if we go back through history, we can't actually tell people the truth about women's suffrage and things like this, because history should be told from the perspective of women. It shouldn't be told from the perspective of the whole. Like, it doesn't matter what events actually happened. The motivations for them need to be explained and expressed only through the prism of women. This is part of feminist theory studies, and it's called standpoint feminism.
Well,
You can
it's
find
called-
references
it's
to
not
almost
quite-
every
almost.
single one of the advocates of standpoint theory, which is now currently what is taught inside of most higher education. You can find the references to this in a book called Occult Feminism. It's quite good.
Well, you got some of that right, but standpoint theory, also called standpoint epistemology, which is what I know it as, is one of the three pillars of.
You never
critical
even
race
fucking
theory.
heard of it till 5 seconds ago.
I've
and you just
literally
Googled
mentioned-
it. You fucking lying piece of
Yes,
shit.
yes,
dude.
I just Googled
You
it.
literally just Googled it. You don't even know what you're talking. It's just
I
so-
confess I did.
No.
Come on, dude.
Stop. So I've never heard it called standpoint theory. That's why I Googled it. And when you asked the question, I literally said, does this have to do with critical race theory? Critical race theory is built on three pillars, one of which is standpoint epistemology. So when I Googled standpoint theory, and the very first sentence is standard point theory or standpoint epistemology, then yes, now I know. Yes, I have heard of it. I'm very familiar with it because it's standpoint epistemology. Standpoint epistemology, which I disagree with. I think it's a stupid epistemology, but it says that you should evaluate.
Well, hang on.
the
Standpoint theory is
historical-
different than standpoint
What?
epistemology.
Standpoint theory or standpoint
Yeah, feminist
epistemology is a theory
standpoint
for
theory
analyzing.
itself as it was advocated, especially originally, and how it's been inducted now, slightly different than what you would consider the theory for critical race theory. So standpoint epistemology is a little bit different.
So
It is. There really is a delineation. Don't hold your head like a douche. Just talk, man.
They're
Talk.
stupid. They're stupid. So critical race theory is built
fucking destiny shit. Come on.
Is built on three pillars of epistemology. So critical race theory and standpoint epistemology are not the same thing. It is one
Okay,
of
I'll
the
tell you what.
pillars
I'll tell you what. I'll
of
make a
critical
deal.
race
I'll
theory.
send you $100 right now if you close your eyes, you hold up your hands, and you tell me a fucking thing about standpoint epistemology.
Standpoint
Hang on.
epistemology-
Let me finish. Let me finish. Just tell me the year.
I don't know. I don't care about
Yeah,
the
you
year.
don't fucking know. You
Why
don't
would
know
I-
shit about it. You
why
just
would
made it
knowing
up
the
as you
year-
went.
Why
You
would knowing
just
the
made
year
it
be
up
relevant?
as you
No.
went.
The fact that you think the year is relevant to the
You
epistemology
don't know
means you're a
anything
dumbass.
about
No.
this, bro. You
I
just
literally
Googled it.
do.
You're
Shush,
reading off of a
shush.
Google machine.
Hold on,
I've
let's get
literally
this back.
spoken
Let's
about
back
this. I've literally
let's get
spoken
this
about this
back.
on multiple occasions in the past. You can Google standpoint epistemology in my discourse. Yes, I do know a lot about this. Standpoint epistemology,
Except the
is
year
relative-
when it was more. Hey, who's the guy who
year isn't
orchestrated
relative
it?
to the
Hold on,
What's
epistemology.
the
You're
guy's
an
name
idiot.
who
Shush,
orchestrated it?
shush,
You don't know. You don't know
Standpoint-
anything
Stop
about
interrupting. Stop interrupting. The standpoint epistemology is a model that says that you should put a lens of the people who wrote the story on a historical event. And so you need to take into consideration the other demographics, the non-white people or whatever, and then take their stories as more accurate depictions of the events than those of the whites or the leaders or whatever. And that's the point of standpoint epistemology, where it weighs the testimony of the individual relative to their social standing or their minority view, and then says that those who are in a lesser minority view get a higher
So it's the same as critical
weighted
theory
view.
then.
Well, it's one of the pillars of critical race theory.
It's like
One
it's
of
like
three
the
pillars.
foundation. Yeah. It's like everything came from that position. But back to patriarchy, egalitarianism, which is the thing that is
You
really
can have fun with
unworkable.
it, T-Jump. It's all right. We're just playing around, man.
I think what people are arguing now, even conservatives, by the way, who we battle with on our side, argue from this very egalitarian, classical liberal position of equalness and individuality and individualism and all this stuff, and it's pretty rampant, the whole thing. So the whole you get these conservatives like Tapussa people that you went and visited Pine Creek arguing, making arguments against feminists, saying the patriarchy is bad. And then at the same time, they defend a classical liberal approach to politics. It makes no sense to us. It's contradictory. It's self-refuting.
So, okay, Jimbob and Andrew, would you predict, let's say I became dictator of the United States and I made it illegal for women to vote, would you predict 50, 100 years from now that our country would be more prosperous, less crime, just
10 years.
all around better?
I would
10
predict
years?
10 years. Yeah.
If
you limit suffrage generally, I would say so. I mean, I wouldn't say that suffrage itself has particularly helped the United States in any of its progress, to be honest with you. And that's for men and women both. I don't think that most men should probably be able to vote either. And that limiting suffrage, generally speaking, and here's why. Like I know T-Jump kind of scoffs here, right? Maybe most people scoff as they hear this, but just think it through. Most people you talk to don't even know who the vice president is. They don't know.
I agree with you. Most people should not vote. The part I was scoffing at was the part where you said women's suffrage would decrease crime or whatever, when literally all the data in every country.
No, we weren't talking about crime. He was asking about prosperity. He was saying, would it be more prosperous, do you think, if they didn't? And I do think, generally speaking, it probably would be. And the reason is because I think that men tend to be more in line with risk taking. And if you're going to do, like a cross benefit analysis, you would say that in business, as you hold 3 different businesses, you have to take risk. And women generally don't like to take risks. They don't like it. They don't enjoy it. It's not part of this system that they kind of ascribe to. Risk is a thing which they try to kind of move away from them as much as possible for security purposes. This is why there's often bad mate selection. There's a lot of things that go into this, which are kind of interesting as you dig into it. But I also think that just that alone wouldn't solve the problem. I think you'd kind of have to limit suffrage across the board, to be honest.
What about things like poverty, though, like the social aspects, helping the poor? Do you think that would be better? Like be less poor? I guess prosperous means less poor, but what about like women tend to be more nurturing than men? Would we lose something?
Yeah, as we look at this, it's interesting because we're often kind of moving our own goalposts here, and we look at like things like poverty level and this type of thing. And when I look at the poverty level, I kind of realize that there's not that many. I mean, there's enough, I guess, but there's not that many people who are under what we consider the poverty level now to be. The United States is this massively rich nation that was mostly untapped by European settlers forever. So, I mean, most of the resources here are still pretty raw and new, surprisingly. Most of the United States isn't even inhabited. Most of it is not inhabited because people tend to inhabit near water, right? Water sources, things like this. We're very, very, very rich. I feel like we've kind of squandered that in many ways. And when you're talking about allocation of resources and things like this, kind of the underclass, which will always exist, if you ask one of these people and you start to get into a conversation with them, most of the time, why are you in the situation you're in? What happened here? This and that. I've just noticed this, and it's purely anecdotal, but I've just noticed that most people seem to be in exactly the position you would expect them to be in based on the choices that they make. And this is the thing, is this is one of the reasons why if you kind of discuss with people who are in massive poverty, things like this, and you say, well, do you think maybe it wasn't a great idea to spend all of your money on crack cocaine for 2 years of your life, right? They go, well, yeah, that probably had something to do with it. And so, you know, I kind of wonder at these issues, these kind of mass political issues, Doug, but I don't even think you would disagree with me here. Don't you think most people, if you talk to them and you kind of look at what their life choices are, they seem to have a symmetry.
Oh yeah, I'm a personal responsibility type guy. Like I love to ask the question, like with minorities, it can be very sensitive for a lot of people, but I like to ask the question, can a minority, let's say a young black man in the United States, make personal choices that affect his current outcome in life today? And it's really hard for someone on the left to say, well, of course, like, if they make stupid mistake. Yeah.
Because of this idea, but this is part of that indoctrination ideology, right? Where you just kind of shift the goalpost away and say it's always external factors. It's just external factors. It's external factors.
Systemic racism.
And it just drives me crazy because when I talk to them, I hear a totally different story. Now, is that proof of anything? Ultimately, it's not. But man, I think it's a lot more proof than T-Jump has for his moral system. Right?
Well, let me ask T-Jump and Neil here. If we ran that experiment, 10 years, women not voting, and it turned out that on every metric that you guys agree on, the United States is more prosperous, better living conditions for everyone, would you continue on and say, okay, we ran the experiment?
Well, if what you say is true and all the metrics are checked out, then yeah. I doubt that would actually happen, though.
And how about you, T-Jump?
Oh yeah, so I'm for whatever works best. So if it works best, I'd be for it. But we know.
Okay, now I want to ask Jimbob and Andrew the same question, but reversed. If we ran the experiment where men couldn't vote for 10 years, and it turned out our country was more prosperous, would you say, okay, maybe men should never vote?
Sure. The problem with this, though, is that I believe that this is a logical impossibility.
Logical, you say?
It's a logical impossibility.
I think for you to pose the question, that we're basically redefining what prosperous would mean for a woman versus a man. So it kind of, it assumes a bunch. So I have the same answer as Andrew, and I might actually say no. I might actually just say no, because it's not going to sustain, and that's another aspect of this against the patriarchy argument. I always go into these panels and I ask these women a trick question. I say, with enough manpower and force, could you think we can take down the patriarchy? They don't even register what I'm asking. It's a trick.
Hang on. I want to let everybody on this panel know I made T-Jump laugh. I did. He laughed. I saw it. It's possible. I can do this.
It's true. It's possible. Tagawa says $5. Thank you for that super chat. Women are susceptible to propaganda and indoctrination. Yes, manipulation as well. The 19th was a globalist wet dream. I tend to agree. I don't think, Yeah, we already went through all that. Thanks for the super chat. $10. Not a debate, quote. Let us get the slow build up to fireworks by just not starting as a fight. Fantastic content, Jimbob. Thank you so much. And thanks for
Well,
the
actually,
guests for being
thank
here.
the guests. Thank the guests. They're
they
the
thank you
ones
too.
who are assisting with that. I'm glad that T-Jump came back in. It's actually been quite productive and fun. And Neil, of course, thank you for being here. Doug's a piece of shit. I hate his guts, but I'm glad that he's here as well. It's awful nice of you. I saw that you combed your head for us this evening.
Nice.
Combed your head. Oh man, that's brutal. That's brutal. Wow.
Satan,
You
see
got
what he does to
nothing.
me?
You got nothing, bro. No, just take the L, Doug. Just take the L.
I'm happy to, because I know who I am. I have my identity.
So, Doug, can you tell us about your experience? Did you like in real life stuff better? You seem to be more vital and full of spirit, not as dead inside when you're in front of people physically at events.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't seem as dead. Yeah.
No, I actually think. I apologize for my dog. There was a Democrat at the door.
Doug, can I send you a super chat right now? Will you get the dog a steak?
Maybe. But
Okay.
I actually think I'm the same person online as I am in real life. I tend to joke around a lot. I think Andrew and I have very similar personality types. And I don't like, I'm the type of guy, someone can say something that I severely disagree with, and I'm not going to be triggered. Like, I would never be like Matt Dillahunty. It's just not in my DNA. So it's really hard to trigger me, as evidenced by Andrew trying.
Did speaking of that, Dillahunty,
Doug, okay, that's cope because you couldn't
is
figure
coping.
out a great comeback. I know you were thinking about it. That joke.
Did
20
any
minutes.
did
20 minutes, Doug. That's the best I had.
Doug, did any of your atheist friends actually confront Andrew's argument that he brought against Dillahunty, or is everyone just still running from it?
What's the argument?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Also, the argument just says this: if I were to grant the worldview that a lot of secular humanists postulate that Christianity is a big lie, it sucks, it's all completely based on untruth. If I just kind of grant that that's true, but then say, but the societal effects of it, of people believing in it, seem to be better than the societal effects of people believing in a purely agnostic or atheistic worldview. Would you, as the secular humanist, say that that is the pinnacle of humanism then? Wouldn't that be the best thing for humanity if it had the best outcomes for humanity?
Sure.
And then from there, we can kind of, yeah, right, exactly. So then from there, we can kind of critique and see if it does or it doesn't. And I would contend that it does. It does, generally speaking, have better outcomes for at least at the individual level, and then even scaled up to most of the societal level as well.
See, but if I was Matt Dillahunty, I would have mentioned the Enlightenment, and maybe that's true now, but wasn't true before, and all the deaths and killings because of religion. But sorry,
Come on, but what about communism, Doug?
Yeah,
what would you say about communism?
Well, I would say if I was Dillahunty, I would say because you could still be a Christian and still join a church within secular humanism, so that problem is solved. You can still
you kind of have a problem with that, though, Neil. And this is like
You're
right.
Funny.
You can make a counter argument, and Matt kind of did in his opening. He says, inside of the kind of secular humanist or atheist society, you can be a Christian. That's fine, as long as you have no power. And that's right where it's not so fine from my angle. Now, he didn't specifically state no power, but it was definitely inferred. So the question becomes then, well, who's better off in power? Who's better off for prescribing kind of moral prescriptions for the population that helps them thrive? If I look at Western nations that have a hard time even reproducing due to materialism, not so sure. The theists seem to be just overtaking them even inside of the secular countries or the more secular countries. They overtake them in birth rates, and they're going to continue to do so. In fact, I just read just this morning, Doug, it was on the Amish. You know that the Amish are doubling in their birth rates every couple of years. They're doubling.
Wow.
Double.
Doug grew up Amish.
They don't
Mennonite.
notice how they can do that.
Really? Oh, well, okay. So hang on. Let me ask you this real quick before we dive into that. why is it that Mennonites are okay with such subpar food? Like, I get that you have to. It's terrible, man.
Oh man,
I knew I could trigger him. I knew I could get him.
I think it's an
We're
indulgence to
done
them,
with you,
right?
Doug.
It's probably an ethical. Is that ethics, Pine Creek? You don't overindulge in nice tasting stuff, or
All right, okay, hang on, Doug.
Pierogies,
I'm gonna
farmer
be
sausage,
Pierogies are
borscht.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. So we had there was this terrible calamity that happened to us that was it made the news once, and this nice lady, she sent in this whole package for me and my wife to like get away for a couple of days. I'm not going to get into all the details, but it was like a Mennonite retreat. And it was a hotel that was run by Mennonites. Okay. So I'm not kidding. Okay. You can look this up in Michigan. It's called the Shack. Okay. Now, maybe it's not run by Mennonites, but there's tons of Mennonites who go in there. So we go into this place. It's like,
Was it a Mennonite brothel?
It's like 4 o'clock in the evening. Well, maybe, right. It's like it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Right. And I'm like, I have a cigarette in the parking lot, and they're all looking at me like I'm Satan incarnate because I'm smoking in the parking lot. But anyway, we go in. We're gonna sit down for dinner. Doug, they had cubed meat.
Oh,
it was cubed meat.
Andrew,
Doug.
I can explain this.
All
Was
right.
it a Sunday?
No, it was a Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, same thing.
Same thing.
What you experienced was a Mennonite FOSPA. It's called a FOSPA. It's not meant to be like a real meal, but more of not a snack, but somewhere in between.
hors
And
d'oeuvre.
it's very common in Mennonite circles. If there's Mennonites listening right now, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you experienced not a real meal, but a FOSPA.
These guys were sitting there, and they were just like stuffing their face with the most horrific food I'd ever seen in my life. I remember looking at them and thinking to myself, how in the world can you eat this garbage, right? The first thing, now, of course, I'm wrong, because the first thing I want to do is get out of there and go to a Taco Bell, right? And I'm sitting there talking shit about the garbage they're eating. But I did. I wanted to get out of there and go to a Taco Bell or McDonald's or anything other than whatever the cubed meat shit was these guys are eating.
Do you recycle these stories? Because didn't you tell a similar story about the day you debated Matt Delante?
No.
You had rotten food, remember?
Oh, no.
Subway.
That was Subway.
Subway,
that was
Subway
Which
versus
is a much
steak.
bigger story.
Yeah. No,
way
that
bigger.
but that happened too, right? I mean, he did. James pulled up the shirt. Let me ask you, T-Jump, you've done some of the in-live things for MDD. Has James ever treated you to Subway?
No, but I wouldn't want him to. I don't like Subway.
That's the thing, right? It's like,
Okay, I got to ask this.
I was about to flex on that, but then it turns out he offered, and you just said no.
I got to ask this because the people really want to know.
right.
Was part of your goal? Was it your main goal to trigger Matt?
Not
that
at all.
day? No,
I was actually absolutely stunned that he had quit out. I did deliver my opening statements with some flair, but I always think that that's really important to get people to pay attention. In fact, I remember T-Jump was on the Crucible channel. He was doing a debate, and we were talking with him, and T-Jump said, he's like, I realized that some of the flair, like when he says you're a dumbass or you're, you idiot or things like that, part of that is attention grabbing, keeps people focused. So I get all of that. But there is something to be said for like when you're delivering an opening statement, that you have good rhetoric and good flair so that people really pay attention to what it is that you're saying. I didn't feel like the argument was very over the top at all. And it was kind of just a counter. He brought up the LGBTQ stuff. I did the exact same thing back. I had multiple opening statements depending on what he said. And I went with the one that I thought matched
It's still
the
not an
arguments the
excuse.
best.
It's not an excuse anyway. I mean, even if he was triggered, or even if Andrew meant that, let's just imagine he did, right? And someone doesn't believe Andrew. It doesn't matter because the argument itself was not engaged with at all. And
Yeah,
that was
but
clear.
Doug, if I wanted to trigger Matt, oh boy, I could. But that was not the that was just not the goal.
and did you get a lot of pushback from your fellow Christians, whether Orthodox or non, for that?
I got some for people who were, but here's the thing. There's a whole sissification which has happened with Christianity where there's a huge swath, mostly women, by the way, Doug, mostly women, who think that Christianity means be nice, and that's not what it means. It doesn't mean be nice. But they conflate morality with niceness, and that's insanity to me. But there are people who do that. But for the most part, no. For the most part, what I got were messages that said it's about time the guy got a taste of his own medicine. But I didn't even feel like I was over the top. Like, I've done debates where I've delivered opening statements which were so brutal that I could see people going, dude, that was too much. And I would say, okay, you know, maybe that's a fair criticism. I didn't even think that was that bad. I thought he was just kind of being a bitch about the whole thing because he's humping a dude. You're humping, you know what I mean? That's what I think. I think that because he happened to be in a relationship where he's boning a dude, he was upset that part of the argument came up.
It's part of the argument too, by the way. Like when even you presented it to T-Jump here, Andrew, the consequence of the argument of accepting that you would actually favor Christianity if these outcomes were present actually means that you would abandon truth in favor of outcomes that you prefer. And so if the secular humanist position is that you'd favor outcomes and abandon truth, then you can't really be a secular humanist if you at least follow that argument. You can't be a secular humanist that says, I reject Christianity because it's not true, or I'm out to get the truth. Suddenly we have an argument where you actually do abandon the truth altogether.
Well, for humanism, the goal is to maximize human well-being. And so if sacrificing truth would maximize well-being, you could be a humanist and reject truth.
But then wouldn't that, if you were sacrificing truth, what if you didn't have the truth of what well-being was, right? So it's kind of like it cancels itself out a little bit.
Well, if you don't have truth to determine anything, then it would just cancel out everything. So, but that's the point
atheism.
Is, can you know what the truth is and know that you're going against the truth, but it achieves some goal of maximal well-being and still be consistent? Yes, you can know that something is false, but do it anyway because it's better for well-being.
Well,
like Jimbo, that was a low blow. Like whether you're Christian or atheist or Muslim, we all struggle to figure out at times what truth is, right?
Yeah, but we're honest about it. Like
I'm honest about it.
Well, I think you are, but I don't think that and I guess you could apply that criticism back towards me. That's an Andrew L for those of you in chat. You can give me the L on that because it is true. We can apply that back towards me. So I think it is fair to say that kind of across the board, people do struggle with that. That's fair. You know what I mean? I've struggled with it. You have to trying to figure out what is true, what is not true, what's our path, what's not our path. But I mean, ultimately, what do you ride on, man? Like, you don't have anything other than, well, this is Doug's brain. Like, I wonder about you, Doug. I wonder if the airplane goes down, you're on the island. You know what I mean? Does Doug go, look, God, I don't know if you're up there. I don't know if you are, but I just built this raft and I don't know shit about carpentry. And I'm really hoping against hope that these coconuts that I put on this thing and this sail that I made out of, like, you know, weeds and shit that I found on this island gets me out of here. And if it does, I will be faithful for the rest of my. I do wonder, Doug, is that true?
Well, I do have markers that would change my mind that's similar to that, but I think it's a little better. Like if you and Jim Bob were to take me to the graveside where my sister is buried, that I know she's dead, and you pray in the name of Jesus that she rises from the dead and she bubbles up through the soil, naturalism is out. I'm done.
I think his question was more like an atheist foxhole question. If you're gonna die, do you put your faith in God?
Well, I do. He's right. I mean, that is essentially what I'm saying is, like, I kind of don't believe you. Like, I think if we're on an island, the plane goes down and I'm like, Doug, join me in a prayer. What could it hurt? I think you'd be on your knees and you'd be like, God, if you are there, please bless this raft so we can get off this godforsaken island where this asshole argues with me all day long, right?
It's better to take the raft and go to some shallow water and test it out where you know you're not going to die and see if the raft works.
Yeah, but we did all that. But we just don't have that much faith in our carpentry skills, let's say, or whatever it is, you know.
But that's easy, Andrew, to say incantations in the hope that it might be true. But still deep down, I wouldn't believe it's true unless...
Yeah, but here's the distinction. If I'm on the island with a Satanist, right, I would never say his prayer, regardless of privation.
What if Satan could save you?
That's the thing. That's the entire difference. Is even if Satan could save me, I would sit there in privation and die.
You
And
know,
so I wonder if then the alternative for the atheist world,
This is
if
getting interesting.
you always,
yeah, you see what I'm saying?
but you always hear people saying, "I sold my soul to the devil and I got rich and it worked." It only works for you only hear it working for Satan. Then you hardly ever hear people saying, "I prayed to God and He gave me this." Like, it's always,
What do you mean? That's the entirety of prosperity gospel. I mean,
Joel
it's
Osteen, yeah.
rampant. It's
Yeah,
rampant.
and it's awful. By the way, it's awful.
Actually, Pine Creek, your example is actually interesting because it's similar to Andrew's question about like life or death. Is that your threshold of believing in God is specifically around a loved one and specifically around a certain event being possible about a loved one, right? But would that be the only thing, or could there be other things that aren't as drastic?
Well, I don't know about that, but there's other things like the famous pray in the name of Jesus that an amputee gets his limb back. But I have one that I use often on my live stream. Andrew, have you seen it? So this is water.
If I told
Yeah,
you,
this stupid water thing.
hey, you gonna put the
God,
lighter
that's
into your
stupid
fucking arm
water.
again? Are you gonna do the lighter thing and burn your arm
So
again?
this is Kleenex in 1 Kings 18. Joshua
Mhm.
prayed to the gods or his Yahweh. And so if you guys pray in the name of Jesus right now and this lights up, you know,
How could that prove if it's fundamentally against the Christian?
I don't need
view? You're
proof.
taunting God.
I don't need
It's like-
proof. What do you
it's like
need?
you're basically saying if I
I need my
taunt God,
confidence raised.
wait a
Yeah.
minute. though.
Okay. Let me raise your confidence.
Didn't
Let me raise
Doug
your confidence. Hang on. Maybe I can help you with that, Doug.
Okay.
Right? The reason you should join what you consider the dark side of the force to be, the reason you should surrender yourself to the red lightsaber and the Darth helmet, is because ultimately, all of the things that you fundamentally believe and want to see changed in the world, we're the only ones who are defending that and pushing back against it.
No,
that's
there's
true.
a lot of atheists like me.
No, there's not. In fact, Doug, I'm gonna give you a statistic that you're not gonna want to hear. But why don't you look up the voting trends of atheists in the United States? You know how many of them vote for the left?
Yeah, it's 66% or something.
Nope.
69.
It's higher. It's almost 80%. 80%.
Women?
Well, no, it's not. It's a combination thereof. But I know what you're referencing. You're referencing the polls that are done by Pew Research. There's varying data on this, but it's overwhelming what atheists will vote for. They're not voting in the interest of your right-wing ideology.
Well, no, I agree.
The only pushback's really coming from us.
You know
That's
why
it.
my channel's smaller than yours, Andrew? It's because
Because
I
I'm
don't-
hilarious and talented, and you're balding and old. I
You
mean,
but I purposely like offend a big chunk of my atheist base.
that's true.
Like I'm Neil, like you probably have kind of winced at things I've said, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe even T Jump. But T Jump is probably more right than you think, Andrew.
he is more right than most. Yeah,
I've heard some
things, yeah.
of some of T Jump's debates on trans issues, especially. I found compelling and interesting. I've never disliked T Jump. Just like sometimes T Jump, and this is a problem. You know this. You've been in the debate field for a long, long time. You've made a career out of it. Sometimes it's hard to turn it off, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes hard to turn off the I'm always going to be engaged in a blood sport debate. I'm always going to be, you know what I mean? It's hard to shut off sometimes.
Well, no, for me, I have a very hard criterion. It's like, as long as you don't interrupt, let me finish my points and don't make me repeat myself. Those are the only three that cause me to do that.
What's that?
Wait, what'd you say?
What'd you say?
We couldn't help it,
Exactly.
bro. We're
Yeah.
just
Doug, when you said there's a lot of people like me, right? Are you saying there's a lot of atheists that
You're an atheist?
actually take a practical Christian position, that they're partial to Christianity in a practical sense? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in a functional sense that would lean towards the right, maybe not as far right as me, but and when I say a lot, I recognize it's like maybe.
Well, of libertarians too, you'd have to include. I think
Yeah.
most libertarians are sort of like this hedonistic, they want to do what they want. They don't really, in my experience so far, I don't know the data, but it seems that they're mostly sort of either fully atheist or agnostic. They really just value liberty above. Liberty is their God, basically. So they're kind of lumped in with you as well, I think, that they lean more right generally than left, even though they're free. They're all about liberty. They're all about complete liberalism.
I think if you're going to be an atheist and vote right, you basically have to be older, financially independent, Because if I remember being young and career, what am I going to do? Money, wife, all these big decisions, and having to pray to God for help. And if you're an atheist and you're young and you're dependent,
Small business owner.
yeah, who do you pray to? Like, and so the natural proclivity is to, I need the government as a backstop because God's not there anymore. I don't believe in him. So it's only natural for
well, not just that. A lot of people who are atheists on the left are voting against the religious Christian right, paleo conservative worldview. It's not that they're voting for something; they're voting against that.
Oh yeah, that could be true.
Doug, do you think there's an actual separation of church and state, or is it impossible?
I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's very difficult to have a complete separation because people's own worldviews is going to spill over in their political decisions all the time.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. It's like, how could you possibly become, let's say, based on your own views and practices that you've actually gathered your constituents, and they help you along, and you start winning and you get big, right? And then suddenly you have this place in politics. Is the secular humanist expecting the person to suddenly abandon their entire views that inform their decisions, right? If they're in top level government, why would that ever be the case? It doesn't even make sense.
And I think Andrew Yang is the only atheist that's in the Senate or the Congress. So they're all either Christian or Jewish or some sort of Christian. Yeah, I think there's only one, to my knowledge.
I didn't know that.
I think he's
that surprises me. Actually.
But what Jimbob's talking about is people like Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, right? He's a young Earth creationist, and I've been asked about this. Like, Doug, how can you vote right when
because he's fucking awesome? He's come on, Doug. He's awesome, and you know it, right?
He's a smart guy.
He's awesome.
It's great. Because the outcomes justify you abandoning a falsity.
Was Andrew Yang in Congress?
What's
ignoring a falsity?
Was Andrew Yang actually a congressman ever?
That's actually a good question. I don't know.
What is he in? I'm not.
I don't think he was, but I could be wrong.
He was the presidential candidate.
Yeah, he was a presidential candidate. He ran on a libertarian ticket.
If I'm wrong, then yeah, then maybe he's not.
Separation of church and state, B.S. Lewis says, should be akin to the separation of church and state. I don't even believe that's possible, because to pursue science, you make a meta-ethical position about why we ought to pursue science. So you can't escape this ethics problem where we're constantly asserting our oughts about where we're going. Like we got to move forward. We got to progress. We got to evolve past these silly myths, right? It's an ethical stance. There's no way of escaping it.
Hey, Jimbob, Rachel had a few questions. She wanted to pop on. Is that okay if she hops on the panel too?
Sure. You got the link for her?
Is this your wife?
I'm not going to put it in my chat.
Yeah, that's my wife.
Oh, she probably wants to talk to me.
Be fucking nice. Be nice, Doug.
Blue Skittle Gang,
nice,
$9.99. Young Earth Gang.
And I'll be nice to your wife. You know, like
my wife is amazing.
But isn't that so is mine? Isn't that basic man code anyway? Isn't that the way that's?
Oh yeah.
I feel like it is.
Did you get
honest, I think the whole political
link,
conversation is kind of silly. It's like what systems work best and produce the best health outcomes. And the Western nations with the low birth rates have far better quality of life than everywhere else. It's like, yeah, secular nations won the health equality standard. It's like,
what's health worth if you don't reproduce?
That doesn't even make any sense. Like, you can live a perfectly good life with no kids.
It makes sense. What are you talking about? Of course,
it doesn't make sense. Like, you're saying that a human who never has, if a human who has no children, do they still have a valuable life if they live? Yes.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, and we don't even dispute that.
Well, so that's the claim, is that you can have an entire society that has better life standards, but no kids if they choose to not have.
If that led, let me ask you this:
for how long?
Doesn't make a difference.
What if that led? Let's say that from right this second, for the next 100 years, everybody who was born had like the maximum in life. They had the best life that they could ever have. But then at the end of that 100 years, nobody else was born. Just due to if the factors which made that life top tier in human history led to the basically extinction of humanity, would we go for that?
Yeah, that would be far more moral than having
God,
a society.
that's so fucking awful. It's so awful.
So, like, imagine
StopHavingKids.org.
Imagine having like a society where there was forced pregnancy and everyone was tortured to death. You could have a society that continues on for a lot longer. Would that society be better than one who just doesn't have kids, chooses not to have kids, and has a high quality of life.
But it goes extinct.
And then goes extinct.
Yeah. So a society who has high quality of life goes extinct versus one with forced labor and pregnancy, slavery.
Yeah, but
Which one's better?
let's say for a second, let's just say I grant this and I say, it would be better if we all went extinct rather than the forced slavery and the this and the that.
Sure.
What if we did a more nuanced approach instead and we said, what if your standard of living would just slightly decrease and your happiness would just slightly decrease and your outcomes would just slightly decrease, but the human race would continue to go on?
What would that have to do with the question? Because the question was,
Well,
He's
no,
just,
this
he's
is
just
it.
spreading, he's
I'm
spreading out the
asking-
time. He's
Yes,
spreading
I'm
out the
just
time.
asking you. I'm just asking you. Let's just assume for a second that I granted you're right. All the if we went to these two extremes, but what if we just went a little more granularly and we said, what if just the outcomes were slightly less better? They were just slightly less good, but the human race continues on. Versus, we could have the outcomes be slightly more better, but the human race is a dead end. Which one would you choose then?
I would let the individuals choose. So like,
Yeah, but let's say you were the master and you could choose.
I would choose to let them do what they wanted to do. So like, my view is that I don't care. The human race as a concept doesn't matter. What matters is
Right.
the individual consciousnesses and what their value of life is. And so if their individual cells can have a better life for sure and just end and die or whatever, versus causing all of them excess suffering to produce more humans, there's no value to that. There's no value.
What if
to
it was just something as simple as brushing your teeth? Let's just say that brushing your teeth, if you told everybody they had to brush their teeth, it continued the humanity. But if they stopped, for some reason, they all felt happier if they didn't brush their teeth, would you mandate that they brush their teeth so humanity didn't end?
No, again,
No.
there's no value to this continue humanity.
Doug,
There's
Doug,
what is? Why
Are
do you
they
keep
going to brush their
obsessing?
fucking teeth under Dictator Doug? Is Dictator Doug going to say, you got to
Well-
do this or
Well, the
else?
important question here: why do you keep obsessing over this continuing humanity thing? Why is this important?
Well, so from my aspect, from the way that I view the world, I don't think that you can have any of this happiness or goals or anything like this if you don't have a humanity for which to achieve those things. And I do think ultimately that God had an edict, at least from my purview, that we do breed and we multiply, and he wanted us to do so for a reason. And I think that the reason is that life is not fair and it is suffering. And there is going to be one of the big problems kind of I see with the world. This is just my view so that you understand it, is that people have embraced materialism to the point where they will stop reproductive activities even in order to get what I want right now for the highest quality of life right now. And I don't think that that's a moral good. I don't think that
I
that's
can
great.
see Andrew's point and I can see T Jump's
Well,
point.
I wanted to, because I didn't hear an answer there. I heard that God told you so, but like,
Yeah.
what is the value?
Why is God told you so not good enough?
Well, it was the thing you said before that sounded like a good answer. The God told you so is just a terrible answer.
But T Jump, I got a great question for Andrew on that.
Sure.
If God said, Andrew, if God did,
If God
Just-
told me to do whatever, if God told me to go through and exterminate everything that Pine Creek loved, the AK-47 is coming out.
Rachel,
I
you
don't
see
give
what
a
your
fuck.
husband's doing to me? I'm a nice guy. And he's like,
Well,
Wouldn't it be,
it was like, what if God told you to
Andrew.
become trans?
Andrew? What if we
It's
are
a
going
logical.
extinct, though? Wouldn't that mean
Yeah, that would be.
well, let me
from-
finish my
from
question.
purview.
Andrew,
Go
if
ahead.
God actually destroyed the universe
Mhm.
tomorrow, but didn't tell anybody, and just poof, everything's gone, would that be bad?
Well, so the question that you're asking, if we look at the purviews of what's logically possible, Doug, you would have
Lean
to
yes,
agree.
lean no.
Stop. It would have to go. It would have to go through the paradigm of what is logically possible. I think people often mess up when we're talking about philosophy, especially, is that logical possibility has to come from a paradigm. From T Jump's paradigm, that's logically possible. From your paradigm, it's logically possible. From my paradigm, it's not actually logically possible. The question becomes incoherent.
Is it logically possible to create the universe out of nothing?
It is with uncreated energy.
So then it should be logically possible to destroy the universe into nothing.
Well, no, because then that would be counter to the nature of the thing that I'm appealing to. And remember, in T Jump's actual answer for his morality, T-Jump stated that a space field of morality, the object just simply can appeal to itself, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Why am I wrong, Pine Creek Doug?
Well, see, I think the core fundamental difference is the value one places on existence in itself. And I think a lot
I can agree with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of atheists would say that existence is neither good or bad, it is what it is. And so if the universe went extinct tomorrow, that's not bad, that's not good, it just is what it is.
I'm going to answer to this. Before I do, can you just answer one thing for me? And I'm sorry, I know that that's actually kind of bad form, but if you just don't mind, because we're in an informal panel setting, you obviously place some weight on existence and the continuation of existence. Why the fuck do you do that, man?
Why do you think it's obvious I do?
Because you're a right-wing conservative fanatic. I've seen your content. You love reproduction. You think that children are excellent. You want to see more of that in society. Why, man? Why?
Well, because
you know that there's something there.
I'll answer your question. It's because I disagree with T-Jump that I think it would be a horrible way to go if a society would slowly go extinct.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a lot of old people, like just practically, who's going to change my diaper? I mean, it's going to be bad. And so
what's that answer now, though?
I'd rather a big rock just hit our planet and we just go poof, we're gone. I'd rather Yellowstone just blow up.
Well, before we introduce Rachel, thanks for being patient.
Kind of relate, I think, a bit with that answer. It's like there's almost maybe even T-Jump would agree. There's almost an intuition to it, right?
So the reason we need kids is to take care of you when you're old, so they can change your diapers.
That's true, though. I mean,
so
that's
not really what
that's
he's
practical.
saying.
That's exactly. That's literally what Doug just said.
Well,
No,
he gave an example.
It's
That's
more than
true. I mean, that's true. But he gave an example. What he's really trying to say is he's like, look, I think intuitively we don't think that non-existence is good, or else T-Jump, why wouldn't you just go grab the 45 next to you and you know what I mean? It makes no sense. You can go off.
Andrew, also T-Jump, you also have in your view, I think you still have this, the best possible world, right? Isn't that paired to your moral paradigm?
Yes.
Okay, so is it possible to have a best possible world without a knower?
A knower? You mean a conscious entity? Like
possibly, to value it.
But I would say that a conscious entity who would like to continue living would be the best possible world. If a conscious entity does not want to continue living, it would be better off suiciding or whatever. Doug's answer was the reason we should have kids was because of what would it look like if society started to go out over a long, prolonged period of time. We'd get old, it'd be suffering, unpleasant, but that would be contradictory to the example.
I'm so sorry to cut in, T-Jump, and I'm going to let you get the floor again. But the patriarchy must speak for a second and tell its wife to bring down the charger. I'm sorry. Can you bring down my phone charger? I'd appreciate that. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
And B.S. Lewis asked why women get voice on the panel because we value nepotism. So we play a little bit of a balance game. You know how much trouble I'm in,
Pine Creek? Stop being smug. Stop being smug, Pine Creek. Stop judging me.
Let me ask you that. So if we were going extinct under the Christian worldview, wouldn't that mean we're getting closer to the second coming?
I'm not sure actually about that question.
Well, so what Doug said was that the reason he doesn't want us to stop having kids is because it would cause our old people to have lots of suffering. But that would be contradictory to the example, because the example is, would a society who had a full life of full happiness, including at the end, they have robots to change their diapers or whatever. There's none of this added suffering stuff that you require kids to take care of you. They had a full life of all happiness, essentially, and then just didn't have kids. Would that be better or worse than a society that was forced to reproduce or whatever? And so from my view, I don't care whether or not we reproduce. It's not important whether or not we reproduce. It has no value whatsoever. What matters is whether or not we want to reproduce, and if the children we do have, if they have meaningful lives. So obviously reproduction is better if we can produce more kids and they all have happy lives too. Sure. And so us going through a little bit of suffering, like brushing our teeth, in order to produce kids who will live lots of happy lives, sure, that I'm happy with. That's a good argument. But simply valuing existence or valuing reproduction rates over the quality of life of the people who living now is kind of asinine.
But T-Jump, and we'll get to Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. If
no problem.
Better or worse does require people, it seems like the first and most fundamental thing is existence, even with force or even unpreferred methods, because without the people, you can't say it's better or worse, like Doug said. It would just be a void, right? So
You need
from your system,
to have better.
wouldn't it follow that you would actually you would violate and impose on people to maintain the best, because it could be seen as worse in the short term, but you have to have that as a precondition to get to anything better anyway. So you need to say procreation is better in your system.
No. So in my
Why not?
system, if all conscious agents wanted to die and didn't want to procreate, that'd be perfectly fine. That would be the best of all possible worlds. Whether or not they continue is irrelevant. What matters is do all conscious agents have the freedom to do the things they consent to doing? So in the best of all possible worlds, there's no aging. You wouldn't die of old age. You could just continue living for as long as you wanted to. And so there wouldn't be I don't imagine all conscious agents would suicide. But if they
there would
did,
be
that'd
no new
perfectly
life,
fine.
right?
There probably still would be. Probably many people who would choose to reproduce. Yes. It'd just be slower.
Yeah, but I mean, you would hit a zenith if nobody ever died.
A what?
You would hit like a point where how could you possibly continue to reproduce if everybody died? If nobody died.
So in this world, we have infinite power, kind of like gods. We can just create as many worlds as we want. So it wouldn't be a limitation.
Oh,
okay.
That's how it works. Okay, Rachel, thank
Just
you
like-
so much for your
just like God.
patience. Welcome to the panel. You have the
Hello.
floor.
Well, I just heard somebody say patriarchy. So Doug said, have we talked about the patriarchy yet? And I heard you guys were talking about that and about standpoint theory and stuff. So
Doug,
did
you
guys-
brought this on yourself, bro. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out.
Should we
Oh,
talk
come
about
on.
you?
I'm super nice and harmless and totally unscary. Sheesh. But did you guys ever sort that out, what we think about the patriarchy?
No, I don't think we
Doug's-
did.
Doug supports it.
Doug
Right.
Well,
supports the
generally-
patriarchy?
I'm open to it. The way we left it is if we ran the experiment where, for example, women couldn't vote for 10 years and it led to better outcomes, I think all of us here would say, yeah, then we should do it.
Well,
Oh,
I
but you
think
asked the alternative.
And
I
then I
don't
asked
think we got
alternative as well.
I didn't think we get a clear answer from that. So if we
got my
ban men
studies.
from voting and society gets better, would Andrew and Bob and Rachel admit that the patriarchy was bad?
Well, I don't think that voting is like what determines whether we have a patriarchy. I think that's one very small part of it. I know that like to the broad world, they think that the 19th Amendment was like the thing that took down the patriarchy, but I wouldn't actually say that at all. So, I mean, like Andrew said, we could limit suffrage in lots of ways and we might have varying outcomes. I personally am not a democracy enjoyer. I don't think voting and representative republics are a very good system of government at all. So I don't know if I would focus mainly on just voting. I think there's a lot of other ways to determine, like, if we have a patriarchy. For example, all the feminists argued that even after they got the vote, we were still living under a patriarchy. And a lot of them think we still are living under a patriarchy. I wouldn't say that. But I mean, even if women can't vote or can vote, do you guys think there's we could still have a patriarchy regardless of that?
I think there's a natural hierarchy that men do certain things in the world and women do certain things in the world, and they fall into certain places in civilization, in society, and that's just how it is.
I also think that whatever outcome you came to with either of those two hypotheticals, whatever outcome you had and whatever system you had of society or of justice, governance, would still be upheld by force.
Yeah.
And this is Andrew's, typical argument against all these people is that no matter what hypothetical you come to, if you take the methodology that gets you the hypothetical, let's say women rule the world, and you get to this outcome where all the outcomes are better and it's beautiful, that to protect that, you still then appeal to pure muscle in the end,
Yeah.
right?
Any
So you can't
type
get
of
you can't get away
illusion
from
of
it.
women's rights is going to be enforced and upheld
Right.
by men regardless. So if we have not a patriarchy, if we've got an egalitarian or a matriarchal system, it's only that way because men still decided to facilitate such a system, if that
Yeah,
makes
it's like
sense.
LARPing. It's
Do
like
you,
a
think
LARP.
do you think it's bad for women to be in high places of power, like CEOs of big corporations, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think? What's your reasons for that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that women do tend to be a lot more emotionally driven and a lot less rational. And we're biologically programmed, and if you guys are naturalists, you'll actually agree with me on this point. We're programmed for maternity. There's a lot that went into getting women to be successful at reproduction and being moms, and you have a baby attached to you for at least 2 years after it's born. You're very vulnerable for the whole time you're pregnant, the whole time you have a newborn and toddlers. And so women tend to want to distribute everything evenly. We want to make everything fair. We want to make sure everyone survives.
Commie mommies. That's what you are.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Whereas, so like this is the irony, right? Of all the libertarians say, we have to give women voting rights because that's freedom and we want maximum freedom and we want maximum liberty. But by giving women voting rights, you ensure that whatever freedom or liberty you had is going to go away, because women are always going to vote for a nanny state. They're going to always vote for protection over freedom. They're going to vote for security over liberty. They're going to be risk adverse. They're going to be conflict avoidant. And so you're going to get less liberty and less freedom if women are voting.
So let me modify my question for a little bit. Let's say
look at him pretending to listen. You and Andrew are similar in behaviors. And
yeah, when women come on the panel, I just shut down.
Look at him. Look at him pretending.
So let's say that.
He's like, wow, she's so interesting.
Ironically, proof of oh shit, I just took everyone off. Ironically, proof of the patriarchy. Just Doug.
Shit. Way to go.
Sorry.
Why did you just ruin the whole fucking panel? Sorry. You know? This poor guy was just over here messing
wine. Yeah. Okay, let me shift these around. Okay,
so let's say that women do vote for all those things you mentioned, but society ends up for 10 years. And society ends up better off. Longer health standards, better quality of life, lower poverty, et cetera, et cetera. Would you admit that the anti-patriarchy was good?
Well, no, because I'm not a utilitarian and I don't do things based on outcome. My moral view of the world is not based purely on outcome. For one, you can't ever just completely predict outcomes. There's too many variables to say, well, if women vote, I mean, you can pose the question if we could prove it, but I don't think that's...
Well, let's say it happened. Let's say we just let them vote and institute all those different things you said over a period of 50 years. And after 50 years, the quality of life in every country we did this was significantly better. And the quality of life in the countries that did not do this were not better.
It would depend on what you mean by quality of life, because I have a whole chapter in this book. The whole last chapter goes over the outcomes of the last 100 years of women voting and being
debt. Pure debt.
It's really bad. Like every metric of well-being that you guys as atheists and naturalists would point to.
Hang on. I'm sorry. Pine Creek fucking Doug. I will send you a signed copy of the book. I know you wanted to ask. I'll send you the signed copy of the book. Why don't you calm the fuck down, Doug? Anyway, back to this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut.
I'm so happy I didn't have to ask. It's
so I have a book I like to reference as well. It's called The Better Angels of Our Natures by Steven Pinker. It does a pretty really good analysis of crime rates, lowering of crime rates, lowering of murder rates, increasing quality of life, happiness level, food, access to opportunities, freedoms, pretty much every standard that most philosophers use when we're trying to establish anything in morality has improved drastically by increasing all of those things, like a welfare state, healthcare in countries that do socialized healthcare or a mixed economy healthcare, drastically beat out pretty much every privatized healthcare system in existence, with one exception, which is Singapore. Same with housing and assistance, and like the best government program. The best government program that's ever done anything for anybody was the EITC, the Earned Income Tax Credit, where the government essentially just doubled people's incomes in low poverty conditions, and it saved the lives of tens of thousands of children overnight. So if we look at the data, it shows that all those protectionist socialist policies benefit the lives of pretty much everybody significantly everywhere in the world, but
lead to lack of population. It's interesting you said Singapore. My wife is half Singaporean, and they have to do drastic measures to repopulate now.
Well, I don't care about that. It literally doesn't matter.
It is relevant, because what you call well-being, I think we've established, right, Tom, that your goal of well-being could just be a blip in time, and then it all fades away and it's fine. But from our view, if you were to achieve well-being, you would want to sustain it, and to sustain it, you need to have children.
But you
now, is it better to sustain well-being and outcomes than not?
Again,
Or-
as I mentioned, sustaining means nothing. It literally doesn't matter if humanity continues. What matters is the quality of the life of the individual consciousnesses. And
do you need a day for that? Do you need a week for that? That doesn't make any sense.
So
You're saying that
so
the
the point
time
here
frame
is,
doesn't
as
matter,
you
but
guys
you
mentioned,
need time.
if we're
I don't
comparing the
understand.
two extremes, a world where everybody lives happy lives and never reproduces, or a world where people are forced to reproduce and be slaves, clearly the one where the world ends and there's no more children is a better option than the one where everyone's forced to be slaves and have children. The reproduction part just doesn't matter. So whether or not we have more kids isn't a measurement on the happiness scale. It's not a measurement on the well-being scale. There is no
Actually,
part.
Not based
not
on women
to
who have
interject,
kids.
but I wanted to jump in just because that's actually not true. We have like major consequences from declining birth rates. One of which is we have a massive labor shortage right now. We have supply chain interruptions. We are now encouraging people to do assisted self-deletion because we don't have enough population growth to sustain people. It's causing massive problems in quality of life. It's causing massive problems in interruptions of the food system, the healthcare system, and it's only going to get worse. So that's one aspect. But the other thing is Pinker's stuff has been torn apart by a lot of people a lot smarter than me who say it's kind of bullshit. And what I would say in response to his data is that my data shows that if you look at things like mental health outcomes, substance abuse, homelessness, all the metrics you would look at for well-being for children, when they grow up in broken families, if they grow up in a disrupted family system of any kind, they are at far higher risk. So like all the children that they find in, inpatient mental health facilities, they did a big study where like 88% of these kids come from homes where there's some type of disruption. The dad's not there. The parents are divorced, remarried, things like that. The breakdown of the family unit has caused a lot of suffering, a lot of unwell being for
So
a
I'm
lot
a little
of people.
lost there because those aren't issues in most Western countries. They're just not. That's an
Yes,
American
they are.
issue.
What do you mean?
No,
What
not
are
really.
issues?
So like the most countries have the well-being of the children is significantly better than everywhere else in the world. There is no comparison. Everywhere,
so you're
every
saying,
standard
wait a
of
minute, you're
every
just
Western
saying
nation does
material. You're
better.
saying material conditions are better for kids
No,
in Western
psychological
countries?
well-being, happiness, every single criterion of the psychological state of well-being of kids is better in Western nations than anywhere else, in any time period, anywhere in history. This is not even contentious.
No, we don't have any measurements for the psychological well-being of children across
We
time in different
literally
parts of
do.
the world. No, we don't.
No,
We don't have
literally
data for that.
Can you
We
show me the
literally
data of
do.
the psychological conditions of somebody who was born in the year 1000 AD, sir?
The year 1000, we can actually, yes. Because
Yo,
we can
go
show
ahead.
The availability of
I'll
food.
wait. Yeah, I'll wait. You show me the
Yes,
psychological
yes, yes,
conditions.
Ken, this is
Okay,
well
go ahead.
studied.
It is.
T-Jump, you keep mentioning Western nations, but what about China with low birth rates?
China, what about China?
There are people with psychology PhDs that are historians that have done work on this stuff. I've certainly read it.
No,
It's all speculation. It's all
No,
speculation.
this is
there's
a
no
Republican trope where they say
conclusive
there is conclusive data. The consensus in every
not
single academic
conclusive.
field is
Consensus
exactly
is not
Consensus is
data.
not.
Consensus is not data.
Consensus is not a conclusion.
Why do you guys not understand how science works? So the consensus.
Oh, we
is
don't know
the
what
inflated
how science works.
Science,
Close
it's not
your eyes.
consensus.
Close your eyes
Yeah,
and tell me
yeah.
the scientific method. Just tell me the
Yep.
scientific method.
Tell
Tell
him.
me.
Hypothesis, prediction, conclusion. There you go. It's not even hard. So what
Wait.
you guys were saying
No,
is
that's
wrong.
wrong.
Close.
No, it's
close.
Almost. Almost.
It also depends on what you're talking about too.
Okay.
No,
close
that
enough.
is
Let him go.
that
Let
is
him- let him go.
the scientific method. You guys, if you don't think you're wrong, if you think
Say
I'm
it
wrong on
again.
that, you know
Say it again.
nothing about this.
Wait, say it again.
Why are you
Hypothesis,
guys so beaten up on
prediction,
T-Jump?
conclusion.
Wait, do you need a observation before a hypothesis?
What?
Yes,
The
You need an
observation is
I need an observation
Yeah,
before
yeah, you do.
hypothesis.
Yeah, you skipped that Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, I didn't
Yes,
skip
you
that
did.
part. That's the part of the middle.
gotta
Come on,
my
nail
chat
polish.
Okay,
GPT
okay, go
up.
on.
Yes, I do.
Go on. Let him
Yes, I do.
let him go. Let him
Is
go.
that to go with the new lesbian hairdo? It's very cute. I
Yes,
love
it
it.
Oh,
So-
ruthless.
Super cute.
Go ahead.
Again,
Go ahead.
as I mentioned, the consensus in every academic field is the quality of life has been improving drastically everywhere, especially in Western nations over time. If you think the quality of life or the psychological well-being of a kid in the 1000 is better than a kid today, you're delusional. You just know nothing about the field. You know nothing about research in the field. So it is a fact that
Wait, in the field of
well-being
psychology?
every academic field, psychology, history, well-being, neurology,
Okay,
ethics,
so you know
every
that
field,
the field of psychology has a massive crisis when it comes to
which has
replication.
nothing to do with the topic. irrelevant.
Oh,
So yes, there is a
okay.
reproducibility
So the fact that
of
you
modern
can't reproduce any of the studies, the fact that there's a replication crisis that's the highest in
has
psychology has
literally
nothing to do
nothing
with the
to
study of
do-
psychology and the history of
has
psychology.
literally nothing to do with the fact that the well-being of children today is better than that of when they were starving to death and had the plague. Yes. So the fact that some
That's a result
wait,
of modern
wait,
technology.
wait,
That's not a
wait,
result
yes.
of the breakdown of the family unit. You're the one who doesn't
The
know how to do
breakdown of the
science.
family unit has nothing to do with Western culture either, because it's not a thing in most Western cultures. Most Western cultures don't have a breakdown of the family unit.
Yes, they
it's
do.
an American issue. No, they don't.
Yes,
In
they
fact,
do.
there's many that have far more of a family unit. than
Australia,
America.
the UK, France,
Who
United
all have
States, Canada.
phenomenal
Yes, they
health
do.
and wellness standards in every criterion. So again, nothing you've said has even come close to
You're
addressing the
conflating
points I
two
brought up.
issues.
No, I'm
I'll
just
let
one
you
issue.
finish so
What
that you
is
can
the
do your-
well-being of humans, both children and adults? And in every society, the Western nations who are doing all the socialist stuff about healthcare and providing people with extra money and giving people more rights, they're doing better by every metric. Anybody who disagrees is just delusional and knows nothing about the data. And the fact that you're bringing up certain cherry-picked examples doesn't change that. The fact is, guess what? Healthcare for today, well-being for today, for the psychological well-being of kids is better than it's ever been in human history. And that's a fact.
Okay, are you done now?
Sure,
Can
go
I
ahead.
reply?
Sure.
Okay. We can have advanced technology that gives people better healthcare systems, better food systems, better material conditions, and at the same time that we have those technological advances that help us with our material conditions, we can also not have feminism, which breaks down the family unit, causes massive amounts of divorce or children born out of wedlock, and causes all kinds of problems for kids growing up. If you think that growing up in broken homes is, not a problem for kids, then you're the one who doesn't know the data.
I don't think he believes that though, Rachel.
No, I
Just
agree. I agree. Broken homes are a problem, but
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yes.
So the point here, healthcare, socialized healthcare, has saved hundreds of millions of lives.
What does
The
that have to
definitive-
do with feminism?
Who paid for it? The socialist programs, the socialist government, feminist programs of the things you
Oh,
said
I see.
women
You're
vote
saying
for.
we need feminism so we can have socialism to fix all the
No.
problems that feminism caused? That's
Literally
retarded.
none of that I said.
See,
So
first,
I
what you
said-
do is you
wait,
get
wait,
the feminism and it causes all this social disruption and fucks
No.
everybody
Wait,
up.
wait,
But
wait.
then it's good because we get the women to
There
vote for
was-
socialism,
saying-
and then you fix all the problems with the socialism.
Okay, let's go
Are
back
you-
to what you
Wait, hold on a
said.
second. Are you
This
saying
guy's
go ahead.
supposed to be smart. Are you
there's no such thing
kidding
as
me?
broken homes during the church like 1,000 years ago? There was no broken homes. I mean,
No.
broken homes has always been a thing.
No, not to the extent that it is now. Not even close. Have you seen the data?
Neil,
What do you mean?
did you have a broken home, Neil?
Neil Heel.
No, actually, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Do you know
it's
how
awesome.
many kids were born out of wedlock in 1960 versus how many kids are born out of wedlock now?
Well, that's not the same as saying there wasn't broken homes before, and now there are broken homes.
Do you know how rare divorce was prior to 40 years ago? Extremely rare. To say
Prior
there
to
hasn't been
feminism.
a massive epidemic increase in broken homes over the last 70 years since we've implemented feminism as the default is ridiculous. Everybody knows this. I mean, we can just take a look at the data. I have a piece on my Substack going over the last 45 years of national incidence studies, which looks at all of the data around, children and women's welfare and what situations and conditions cause the most abuse, harm, social problems with well-being. And unequivocally, far and away, they say that for children to grow up in an intact home with both biological parents married is by a factor of about 12 the safest way for children to grow up.
No, it's not. So you kind of ignored the factors of having food and not dying of the plague. Those kind
But
of
you can
important.
have that without the feminism. Can you not?
No, you can't. So again, the reason I brought up all these socialized governments with all their
why
socialized
can't you?
healthcare-
Wait. Let's
That's
start there.
literally what I'm answering. So, as you mentioned, women vote for things like protectionism and government's safety nets. Healthcare is one of these. Most of the Republican systems don't vote for these things. They're against all of these things. So all of the very advanced healthcare we see in all the Western nations, they're called socialized healthcare for a reason. Those are all those women things you keep voting for, these safety nets and the government oversight and stuff, and they work. They literally
You
work
wouldn't
objectively
need
more than
them if
everything
you had
else.
intact families and you
That's
just had
wrong.
the Industrial Revolution and advancement in
That's the
technology is what
dumbest thing I've
created
ever
the
heard.
increase in material well-being. It
That's
wasn't
the
a fact
dumbest thing
that
I've
we
ever heard.
broke down the family unit and then built it back up with socialism. That's just
I
objectively
don't
Rachel-
care
not
about
true.
the family unit. The family unit is irrelevant. It doesn't even it pales in comparison to the deaths of hunger and disease. Family unit
Right,
means
but
nothing.
I'm saying
It
you
means
can
nothing.
fix those things with technology and then also get rid of the feminism that causes all the
Who's gonna
social and
pay for it?
psychological
How do you,
problems.
what do you know
Governments,
causes it? though?
companies.
Where are you getting this from? What's the methodology of deciding that this is what's causing that? And are you just looking for data to fit the narrative that you want? You just start with a narrative, and then is that your methodology? You just start with the narrative, and then cherry pick the data that you think fits the narrative the
You
best.
mean me? Are
Yeah.
you talking to me?
Talk about-
No, this is like my specialty, like history subject that I've studied for years. And we can see that all those material increases in well-being started as a result of the Industrial Revolution and an increase in technology. Those are the things that brought better healthcare systems, better food systems, less starvation. It was not a result specifically and directly of socialist programs. If anything, the 20th century proves the opposite. When you have communism in the USSR,
Whoa,
everybody
that's a different
starves to
thing.
death.
That's a different
When
thing.
you have
We're talking about a
communism,
command economy,
what?
though. We're talking about a command economy with a whole different set of how they run their government. We're talking about a free market over here.
Well, what's a command economy, Neil?
When the government just controls everything, and there's no free market.
Okay.
I don't care about Russia.
So-
Who cares about Russia? Let's
That's
talk
why-
about
that's
the
why I said, who
countries.
cares about
You're
Russia?
saying that socialism is responsible for
Well-
the increase in material well-being, and I'm saying it's not. It's technology.
So again, then if that was the case, then the countries with the greatest technology would have the greatest wealth care. You know what is not the case? That is wrong. That is provably wrong. You have to be just completely delusional
What
to
countries
think that's
have
the
the
case.
best health care?
Yeah, great
Norway,
question. I was just about to ask that.
Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Japan.
now
Can
hang
you
on,
show
when-
us?
Those
Hang
Show
on.
us
countries
America.
are
Doug,
massively technologically
Doug, what were we
advanced.
gonna ask?
Germany?
Wait.
Germany was at the forefront of medical technology. They didn't get that from
You
socialism.
have to ask this question with T-Jump.
America is the most technologically advanced.
Doug, you have a
America
question.
does not have the best healthcare.
If
The ones
price-
that have the best healthcare are the ones who implemented the socialist. I'm not pro-socialism. I hate socialism.
a
But
good
the
point.
socialist policies who do not have the best technology. They, as the Republicans complain about all the time, where's the innovation in all of their healthcare? It's all coming from America. Blah 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 blah.
So wait,
no,
if
the
this
level of
was a-
innovation is irrelevant. What matters is the moderate level of innovation that is spread across the majority. Higher levels of innovation, higher levels of technology are irrelevant compared to the moderate level of technology that is spread across a mass majority.
So
of
when
people
you
like
say best,
penicillin.
your metrics are different than maybe Rachel's. When you say the best healthcare, you're taking into account the number of people can help, not necessarily the quality given to each person. Is that correct?
Well, I'm counting the psychological well-being of all the children, not just the rich white children.
Okay, yeah. But so now let me ask you this: money's no object. Which countries in the world have the best healthcare?
Money's no object. Oh,
Yeah.
any of them. If you have money, you can get any healthcare anywhere you want.
No,
Which
money's-
countries
That's a
have the
non
best
sequitur. That's not even the
healthcare?
question he asked. Come on, man.
Well, no. So if money's no object, you can fly any doctor from anywhere in the world to do anything you want.
But
That's-
wait, you
I
guys,
agree with
we're
this. Is
losing
your
track.
avoiding the question.
His original argument was that you need feminism somehow to get this high quality health.
The correct answer is going to be United States, maybe Germany.
It's going to be Japan. Japan's going to beat you.
Yeah,
But
but the United States is up there, right?
yes, if you have infinite
So
money.
your problem is your definition of best is when you factor in the money.
Yes, that's the reason.
Yeah,
The reason
okay.
I'm saying that the healthcare system, the socialized healthcare system, is better is because it improves the psychological state of the children, of all the children, not just the rich white children, of all
So
the
does
children.
having a father in the home.
That's true. I agree. I am agreement with you.
Right. So why can't we have this increase in technology that gives us better material conditions without the feminism that disrupts the social order and the family?
So
I don't understand what is your argument that we need the feminism to get the better healthcare outcomes?
No.
sort of. So it's like the better healthcare outcomes happen if we keep the broken families, but add the better healthcare system of socialism. The health standards rise more.
Wait, you're advocating for broken families combined with better health care? Like, or you're just saying if that's
just
the case?
listen to the words first, and then
Okay.
so
All
if
right,
we
fair enough,
keep
fair
the
enough.
broken families. We keep the broken families. Say this is an intrinsic part of feminism. You got to have
Okay.
broken families for feminism, but it also comes with the socialized healthcare. So you got to take both of them because they're both the feminist package or whatever. And then we have, this is option A, broken families plus socialized medicine, or option B, America's non-broken religious something or another plus American healthcare. The number of lives saved and the quality of life improved will be better under the feminist system. Even with the broken families, that healthcare system is going to do hundreds of millions of lives more saved than the broken family garbage. We don't care about the broken family garbage. It's not a serious concern.
So are you saying then that?
Hang on, I haven't had supper yet. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone.
I knew he was out.
I am so tired of you, Doug. You give
Thank
us
you, Jim Bob.
No, I don't want to hear shit.
Thank you, Andrew, for signing the book and sending it to me.
10 more minutes. 10 more
I
minutes.
haven't eaten since 8 a.m.
10. You can do
It's
10
now
minutes.
8 p.m.
Are you a diabetic, Doug?
No.
10 more minutes.
So
10
you have
more
no
minutes.
excuse.
I'm a fat old white man.
It's abusive. True.
Doug, it
minutes.
was great to
Wait,
see you tonight, man. You have a good night, Mo.
Doug,
Yes.
do what I did. Just
Good
bring your meal onto the TV.
Well, you know, unlike you, T-Jump, I have a family I need to go to and eat with. Oh, that was so bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Doug,
It's
that was
okay.
a good
T-Jump
movie.
T-Jump doesn't care about families. That won't
Sorry,
hurt.
that was rude. I should end
Doug,
that
do
way.
you still have two channels, one politics and one not, or not?
No, I combined them. So everything's
Okay.
on the Pine Creek channel. Yeah. So if people
Alrighty.
want to see me there, they can and get my viewership as high
Doug,
as
what are you
Andrew's.
having for dinner?
Meat
Borscht,
cubes. Meat cubes.
pierogies,
The meat cubes.
schmolfat.
What the hell is
Real Mennonite
borscht?
food. You don't know what borscht is?
No, what
Borscht is
it?
amazing.
That's
Borscht
a
is
Russian
actually really
soup.
good.
Yeah, there's
It's starvation soup.
Spaghetti with no spaghetti.
It's
Oh.
yeah, it's starvation food. It's cold soup. Cold
You know what?
tomatoes.
I want to
pasta
let you know,
sauce.
Doug. I'm having steak, and potatoes, mashed potatoes, by the way,
And beer.
for dinner, and it's going to be cooked in the most delicious way possible. And I just wanted to let you know that all of that's going to happen, Doug, because I have a subservient Christian wife, and that's what you get, Doug. It's what you get.
He has one
I
too.
do too.
Best of both worlds. Have a good one, Doug. I'll see
See
you,
ya,
bro.
guys.
See ya. All right, you guys can continue, or we can. We're at
We're gonna
3
talk
hours.
about evolution and precept.
Yeah,
or
we're gonna
something?
have to wrap the
Oh.
panel out here pretty quick.
We could, Tom. You can definitely come back and do evolution. Right
Yeah, that was
now,
a ton
I
of
think
fun.
we're at 3 hours. I prefer to keep this at 3 hours, and you're definitely welcome back for evolution. I'll select the panel for that as well. But thanks for coming back on, Tom. Rachel, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah,
Neil,
hey,
of course.
it was good. It was good to see you again, Tom.
You too.
Yeah, and you have yourself a wonderful night as well. I just want to let all the chat know. Make sure you make it rain on Jim Bob for putting
Thank
such
you
a
so much.
great panel
gonna read.
together. Absent Neil, who was totally worthless the entire time.
He's never worth
Poor
it.
Neil.
No, he's-
Poor Neil.
Guys are
he's-
so abusive.
And
to
I'm
Neil.
gonna stay and read the super chats as well. I'm sure Andrew has to go through some stuff over at your side, so I'm not gonna end the stream right now. But I want to say I'm gonna get you guys your last words. T Jump, let everyone know where you are, what else you're doing, and where people can find you.
Pornhub.com/tjump.
Of course. Fair enough. That was a decent troll. Okay, Neil. Well, that's where you're gonna have to find him. So Neil, your turn.
My YouTube channel is called Gnostic Informant, ancient history, mythology stuff. Check it out.
Okay, and Rachel.
You can find me chained to my stove in the kitchen under Andrew's boot.
That's right. Nice.
You can
Nice.
check out my YouTube channel. It's just Rachel Wilson.
Okay, cool. And Andrew, of course.
Well, I'm going to stick around, actually.
Okay, stick around.
for a
Okay,
few.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, of course, Rachel. Get on that steak. If you know
Yummy.
what's good for to the moon, Alice. T Jump, it was great to see you again. I'm glad you came back on the panel. I hope we can do more of this in the future.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
shit. There we go.
He was
for Hop
out.
again.
What
Cool.
did you
How do
you
I
remove
get
him?
out of here? I did.
What
Well,
are you thinking?
I spaz. Let me go through my super chats, Andrew, and then you can go through yours if
Take
you
your
want.
time.
Okay.
By the way,
Facebook-
let me
okay.
just say this one more time. That was the best entertainment anywhere on YouTube. The best panel anywhere on YouTube this fine evening. Jim Bob put the entire panel together himself, except for my moderate contribution of me
Right.
just being me. If you don't mind going and making it rain on Jim Bob, I would appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Andrew. And thanks for coming here.
Even though he has
Facepalm,
narrow shoulders.
I do,
He
but
does,
you know what?
yes.
I'm starting to fight back on that because I think I have actually a giant head, and I'm trying to balance the two. But I will get Swole Bob. This year is Swole Bob time. Facepalmer, thank you so much for the 5 membership gifts. Really appreciate that. My Tech 23, $2. T-Jump, more like lesbian haircut jump. It was. Did you guys catch when Andrew did the flop?
Hang on. Let me see.
I thought it was great.
Hang on. Here we go.
Say,
Which way?
Andrew,
This way. Here we go.
Andrew's got endless characters in him. He's being stingy with you guys, just so you know. Chris Reed, $4.99. Thanks for the content. Rangers lead the way. Thank you so much. Lansing Ide, $10 for a great panel. Props. Yes, it was really good. And big thanks to Andrew and the guests. Del Paxton, a member for 13 months. Thank you so much, Del. I appreciate John Connor joining the stream. Yeah, totally. He was like the...
Hang on. There's this chatter who just chimed in. He's like, slapstick comedy? Enjoy this time out, you fucking prick.
Get out of here.
You know, there's always a fucking prick wants to come in. And they're like, Andrew, why do you have so many live viewers? And I'm like, well, it's because I'm entertaining and you're a prick. That's why. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, he's likable even if you don't like him. It's just like this weird thing that happens with his haters. And that guy will be back, by the way, whoever you just timed out. FB 499. T-Jump thinks it's good we have a weaker military and a lower IQ scores. I don't know if he said that, but it might be a follow. Wilhelm Bones.
You may not know this because you can't see on this side, but
right.
As T-Jump was discussing how he had never heard any data of the United States military lowering the standards so women could come in, made sure that I put up several different newspaper articles explaining why they put in those lower standards. So just saying. Yeah,
that was kind of bizarre to me that was something that he thought
out
of the ordinary.
That was strange.
Because that lowering exists everywhere else. It's not like we're plucking just the military. That trend is everywhere.
I feel like T-Jump came in kind of. I was trying to express this earlier. No, he came in debate mode.
Yeah.
You know, instead of, and you know how this is. You're a blood sport debater yourself, and you also do high tier debates. You don't care either way. You're like, are we doing blood sports? We doing high tier? What are we doing?
Right.
So T-Jump comes in. And I understand it's actually hard, and he didn't admit this, but it is actually hard sometimes to shut that off. Mm-hmm. You're coming into unknown territory. Are we brawling or are we not brawling or what's going on here?
Yeah.
But he actually, when he came back in and he turned that off, it was actually really fun.
Yeah, and we both made him laugh. I saw both instances. So
I made him laugh.
On the shoulder for
I made him laugh twice, though.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you only did it once, Jim.
Once. Now I'm going to look back. I'll look back and see where we're at. Smoking Patriot, $4.99. Thank you so much. Zen Shapiro, $4.99. Thanks, Zen. T-Dump's hair looks like he's in training to be a female UFC fighter. Yeah, he's probably going to change this. The more he's on this panel, the more you'll see him change. I bet. I'm gonna predict that. American Nacho, nice to see you. $5. Megan Rapinoe called. She wants her hair back. T-Jump. Oh man. Hoodie, $5. Awesome panel. I agree. I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. Fresh Palmani, our favorite wacky. He's the wacky Aussie, right? That calls in and you make fun of him a lot.
Who?
Fresh Palmani.
All I hear is country that does. Okay. I'm going to tell
exist.
you. Okay. I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to be brief. Okay. Inside of the Crucible's Discord, which doesn't exist, there's a fan-made Discord called the Foundry. There exists a silent overlord, and his name is Fresh Pelmini, and he's a scumbag Australian who has somehow managed to bring in so many Australians that the Irish element of the Discord is sorely lacking. I have many times put out the call to the Irish, but so far the Australians have taken over the Discord, and it's very disconcerting. It's very disconcerting to have these kangaroo-eating mongrels completely take over the Discord, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I would appreciate if some Irish would come in there. That would be very helpful. Just saying.
That's funny. Please never say commie mommies ever again. I must now bathe my ears in bleach. Thanks, Jim Bob. You're welcome. Jay Ashford gifted a membership. Thanks, Jay, and congratulations to whoever got that. Wilhelm Bones, another gifted membership. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Memberships really make the difference over here. Risky Dave, $10, says nothing. Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Risky Dave. Todd Sullivan, $5, a super sticker. Thank you so much. A very generous, whopping $50 from Namani Fiangananma.
Well, why don't you shut the
I'm
fuck
sorry.
up while we let these guys put crowns in chat
Crowns
for a
in chat.
huge
Thank you.
$50 super chat. In
Etiquette.
fact, it's so huge. The pink on the screen is so much you can actually see the difference. Watch. Jim Bob, take the super chat down for a second.
Where is it? Oh, shit. Sorry.
You just got to click it. Yeah, just click it.
Where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? Sorry.
What the
Sorry.
fuck?
Oh, there it is.
Look at the difference.
Oh, wow.
Look
lit
at the
up.
fucking
Red.
difference. It's huge.
Lit up the screen.
Because of the red from the super chat.
I wish he was kind of on for this, but T-Jump, mother, baby have rights. Mother cannot infringe on baby's natural life or abort baby's natural right to life within the womb because baby cannot make choices, so we use precedent. Precedent is conception to the end of natural life. Yeah, he kind of danced around this. I didn't know who was going to come in and battle this stuff. That was still at the point of really contentious, I think, back and forth. And so I think that's something to revisit if he comes on, because it really doesn't make sense. He's all about not invading, quote, rights, which you can't justify, but also this, the point that you can't involuntarily, what is his phrase?
Hey, see you, Andrew. Have a good one, bro.
Some phrase
I'm sorry,
he
I was talking
uses.
to my chat.
No worries. Wilhelm Bones. That's a great
By the
point,
way,
though.
can we point out that Doug was great?
Doug is awesome. I know.
He was
I knew
a great
gonna be good.
panelist. I had a lot of fun talking to that guy. I'm gonna have to have him back on the Crucible so that we can spar some more. But yeah, Doug.
I wonder if he's
he
going
has
to
comb his
debate.
head. I still feel
comb
like
his head. That was the comment of the night. He combed his head,
he combed
and
his
it made
head.
him laugh. Made him laugh.
Well,
a
he
lot.
had no. That's the thing. No rebuttal means I
No.
win.
Yeah, he laughed. He took it. It was a gift, actually. You
Yeah,
gave him a
that's
gift.
true.
Willem Bones, another $10. Thanks
Good
so
night,
much, Willem. I really appreciate that.
Wilhelm
call him-
Bones, by the way, longtime Crucible member, also very supportive to Jim Bob and his streams. Wilhelm Bones has been here almost since the beginning. I haven't seen a stream yet where the guy hasn't sent in a $10, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Column Rock, $2. Isn't evolution based on sex? Yeah. Sexual health. Yeah, this was when Tom was saying, well, let's talk about health. Well, you need populations. You need to transfer all the things you're saying is transferred during, birth giving and whatnot. Blue Skittle, $9.99. Young Earth Gang. Yeah, that was fun.
By the way, Blue Skittle has some bangers in the Dono chat. Whenever we're doing debates, we're doing panels, we're doing commentary, he has some great ones. Appreciate that, Blue Skittle. Very kind of you to donate to Jim Bob. Really appreciate that.
Side Guy, $5. I appreciate the godless savages coming on. Thanks for the great discussion and laughs. We appreciate the opposing views. It's the way to fix America. I agree. Andrew and I, if you just take a surface approach, especially Andrew, more so than me, the attack mode, right? Meanie pants. We've discussed this many times. A part of the methodology of taking a stronghold, whether it's in, the Twitter spaces or in TikTok insanity, it's not that you make enemies. It's that you destroy your enemies, and the ones who are sort of partial to your view or maybe see some sort of truth, you actually bring them in. And that's who Neil is, basically. Neil's a perfect example. He's kind of sitting, listening. He's kind of not sure where he stands. He wants to discover more. This is key. So I really think that I'm glad you picked up on that. And for anyone else who's in the battle mode, you can stay in the battle mode, but there is a way, and I definitely learned a lot from Andrew, that you can befriend these people. They can still hate you, though, and it's fine. It's totally fine. They hate you, but they want to come back. So I'm glad that that's the case. Blue Skittle, again, 2 months members. Thank you so much for that membership. If God real, why good thing happen? Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good instead of the bad thing. Samir Farsane, $5. I agree about personal choices, but what about two babies, one born to rich parents and one born to extreme poverty? You would agree that the odds are stacked against odds for what, though? This is a kind of a loaded question. It's not a bad question. It's just that what are we talking about? Like, you know, the odds were against, you know, who's the James Brown, right? Everything was against him. So it's not this is a very utilitarian position because you're saying, well, let's just declare the outcome of a human being by odds. Now, the Christian view just rejects that altogether. Odds, better odds, worse odds. There are better odds, and they turn out to be total rich asshole pricks, right, Andrew?
Now, Samir, well, I'd give a little tiny bit of pushback from my view. I would just go ahead and grant that descriptively that's true. Whatever you consider the outcomes to be, I would say that there's probably enough of whatever those outcomes are that me and Jimbob would agree that they could be poorer for a poorer person, whatever they are, right? Maybe it could be shelter, could be this kind of thing, but who gives a shit? Because ultimately, what I've seen in my lifetime and what I can argue successfully for is that it doesn't matter. There's so many people who come from these kind of horrific backgrounds, go on to do phenomenal things. And the truth is that most people who come from these great status backgrounds go on to do fucking nothing. So ultimately, across the board, and Samir, you would agree, I believe that you're a Muslim. We've had some discussions. What do you want to do in order to prevent this? You're not going to be able to push an ideology of socialism. You're going to have to push an ideology of morality. And that's going to be the only thing which cures whatever this kind of discrepancy is that you see. So that would be that would kind of be my pushback there. And I'm happy to get into that more with you, you know, in the future. So
yeah, thanks for answering that as well. Tag Hooah, $5. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
Hooah!
Women are susceptible. Oh, we're at basically. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Because a lot came in before.
You got to check that dono chat.
I got to check it. I got to check the dono too. I'll go back to the super chats. I've definitely missed some. $5 over at the dono. NSX Mando. Thank you. Fun times at Socialist High School of Field Stuff. Field Stuff was pretty special, wasn't it? Moral force and gender studies. Man, being that I'm the philo dork between the two more so, Andrew, I'm going to have to really examine this moral force. I thought, it was insane. I was
okay,
just
hang on. We have to stop right here for just a second. Put me full screen for just a moment.
Let me take this down.
Just a second. You can even leave the super chat up.
Okay,
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Solo.
We're gonna settle this right now. You see this luscious, beautiful beard with almost just a speck of gray on the sides, coming into 40 years old in just a few days. I want you to compare that with Jimbob's scumbag beatnik beard. And I want to hear whose beard is fucking better. And I want to hear that it's mine.
Close. It's not even
Put it
close.
up, Jimbob. Nope, put it up.
Listen.
Full screen.
You could beat me in a lot of things, but definitely not a beard. My beard and my neck are the same thing. Look at this. Epic. Look at these wise hairs. Look at these. You can't beat this. It looks like I was born. It literally looks like I was born with a beard.
No.
Okay.
No.
Let's go back to Andrew. Yeah. Take that low, that I'm in a bar lit light with your nice camera, right? People can't see. It's a good beard. It's just not this. It's just not this.
Yeah, I know it's better in every possible
it's
conceivable way.
It's not. I could literally point to with my beard.
No, they're saying Jimbob W. What the fuck?
Of course.
This is bullshit.
Listen, you could list a ton of W's you have against me, Andrew. The beard is
no.
not
The whole chat just
the
turned against
beard.
me instantly. This was my troll. This was my troll, dude. What the fuck?
That was not going to work out.
Oh my god, this is awful.
Yeah. All right, I got to that. Let me go to the start.
Hang on, I got one Andrew W. You piece of shit. How do you like that?
All right, get it. Yeah, sneak it in. What is it?
That's all he said. He just said Andrew W.
That's it. The W's, you got one W.
Hang on. I got more coming in, and then I got Andrew triple L, which negated the other W's, which is bullshit.
Shit.
But anyway, go ahead.
That's a Hunter Avalon rule, right? Where you're like,
if you ever make that comparison again, I will never come on this show.
Let me see. All of a sudden, Sean for $6.99. Thanks, Sean. All of a sudden, T-Dump can operate in Fairy. He did go to Fairyland, and we just kind of went, well, if he's going to go there, you're just kind of like, okay, you just go there then. I
But
don't
we're
know
not
what to say.
gonna trash our guests though. Look,
No,
not too much,
Entirely.
a little bit.
it's not fully.
But the thing is that T Jump came back on, and T Jump was a pretty good faith throughout the entirety of that panel. And we did cut him off at certain times. He cut us off at certain times, but we did more than he did. And it's because the panel environment's very chaotic, this kind of thing. But as long as he comes on and we're all having a good time, that's what the point of this mixed bag is.
Right.
And I would have him back in a heartbeat. So we're not going to give T Jump too much shit. I felt like Tom came back in pretty good faith. I just think he didn't know how to shut it off. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. To go another $5, T-Dump is actually worse than the 304. Okay, keep in mind, this is before all of it. So these are chats before, this is actually a great question. $2. Was morality present in the Big Bang? You think that sounds insane, but according to his model, that's a fair question, right? How is a right different than a circle? I really love that you said that. There wasn't a time to insert it in. I'm sorry about that.
This fucking cocksucker, he sends in his membership super chat. This fucking asshole. He says, Andrew, you can't just start a beard and then a month later declare superiority, come back in 6 months or try. This is such bullshit. Listen, I have to operate in different modes as the special forces of the Christian right. It's necessary sometimes to shave completely and sometimes to have the great beard. I feel like I'm getting a lot of shit for no good reason.
Wait. When is the necessary? Because I did think I agreed. I thought I agreed with you when you went on whatever the first time to be like sort of sharpened, well presented, and that was actually the wrong answer. You should have been gruffy Andrew. Just crawled under a car, changed his oil with his left hand, drank a beer with his right. And so I want to know when can you possibly justify shaving your face ever again? Blank.
Shut
just
the fuck
silence.
up, Jim Bob.
Silence.
Shut the fuck up, Jim
More
Bob.
W's. I
Why
want
don't
to
you
see
shut the
W's
fuck?
for me
This
over
is
there.
bullshit,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
This is fucking
shaved.
bullshit. I'm gonna
look at
rage
my
quit.
baby. Look at my baby face. I got to be on my best appearance on whatever. Logan Daly, $5.
Hey, hang on. But wasn't the shirt great? The shirt
was good. It was
good.
Yeah,
it was good.
You went back, flanneled up. You'll never go back not being full Andrew ever again. Logan
bullshit.
Daly, $5. B.S. Lewis is in here. He wants to join. Well, he never cams up. I enjoy his trolling in the chat, and but he is a sophist. Logan, thank you for that. Maybe next time, maybe all of you atheists, if you're still listening, you'll actually cam up, face Andrew. We're not going to hurt you. It'll be brutal, but you can handle it, right?
Oh my God, they're giving me so many fucking L's, Jim Bob.
Awesome. That's awesome.
You're a fucking dick, dude.
That's
hey,
awesome.
Andrew, you want to come on this panel? Sure, Jim Bob. Let me get right on this.
Wait until the end. Wait until the end.
I know.
Bobby C, $10. Thank you, Bobby C. I don't understand how morality could be physical. It's impossible. Physical force like gravity that causes effects. Is there a threshold that is reached at which morality causes effects on inorganic matter? That's the Bobby C. You completely destroyed the argument. He didn't know it. I knew it. So thanks for writing that. Endless Hose Mock 4, $5. There is no right or wrong or truth. There is only evolution baited on preferences. Yes, from their view. Rachel, thanks for jumping on and the membership. And thanks for starting the super chat train. I appreciate the Wilsons so much. They're always helping Made by Jimbob channel and myself grow. So I really appreciate all the support.
Well, actually, this was the reverse. Jim Bob is humble bragging there because he's a scumbag.
Oh, yeah.
The truth is that when the Crucible had 30 or 40 live viewers, Jim Bob happened to be one of those who was always in the chat watching every single debate before we really blew up and became the entity that it's becoming. He was one of the first who was in there showing huge support, and he had a much larger audience than we did. And we just don't forget. We don't forget.
I appreciate that. It's actually funny. See some of your older videos pop up, like old debates where like Pedro is here and stuff. It's really amazing how fast the Crucible grew, and it makes sense. It's not some anomaly. When you look back at the choices you made and the things you did, it's not like, of course we thank God and we hope that we continue success, but it's very clear what happened. Like I look back and I go, oh shit, there's actually a method to this explosion. And and it's not going to stop. Someone asked me this, Andrew. I wanted to know your take on this. Someone said if whether or not you yourself, as your persona, as your stance is, eventually is going to hit some sort of like, is the machine going to put you in like a corner? Is there like a plateau or place that you can't be because of the stances? Like, is that thing getting destroyed? That machine that kind of like limits, that does that limitation on people based on.
Let's say I was a guy who incessantly sat around and thought about things like this for no good reason while I was playing a video game called Red Dead Redemption, where I was throwing hapless women on a train track just to watch them get run the fuck over while I thought about these things, because I am that sort of guy.
Right.
I would never tell you ever if there was a zenith, and I would never tell anybody what I might hide or not hide for the purposes of making sure that the message got out there. I would never say that. What I would do instead is strap that bitch with dynamite, throw her ass on the fucking railroad tracks, and that's the end of how that conversation goes. Just saying.
Oh, wow. I guess we've both been playing Red Dead Redemption a little too much. It's brutal, but man, does it make you immerse. Oh my gosh.
You just can't help it. I spent all night looking for fucking rock carvings, dude. It's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. I'm just like riding down the fucking trail, shooting random people looking for rock carvings. It's bullshit.
That's it. That's what it does. It's really a good game for that reason. $5 from Compton Hat over at the Dono. Jimbob, great panel. Have you seen the new Milker Nation epi? I did see it. It was funny until you're just like, why do I listen to this guy's voice? Why would I do that? $10.
Because you're a fucking narcissist.
A little bit.
People are talking about you and you can't help yourself.
Yeah, that's true of everybody. Then you hit the point where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
When so many people talk about you, like what happens with me. He's just going to mute me. Bro, he's just going to mute me.
No, it's fine. No, I just let you talk. If I can get more W's in your chat, I mean, that's just good for me.
That's bullshit too, dude.
Just let you talk. $10 eponymous.
I'm gonna mute you, fucker. Look at it. Nobody can even hear you.
You can.
No, they can't even fucking hear you. They can't even hear you.
Yeah, I'll just do this. Look at this fucking beard. No message. Thank you so much, eponymous. $5 from NSX. We already got that. I also got some PayPal tips today. Streamlabs tips, maybe, she says. Thank you, Megan. $20 from Joseph N. Thank you so much from Joseph. $5 from Benjamin S. Thank you so much, Benjamin. $10 from Joseph G. Thank you so much. $5 from Brandon V. No messages, just tips. I really appreciate all of that.
And we do. Here's the thing. This is a really hard industry to be in. A lot of people don't know that. Putting together panels like this takes a long time. Jimbob's also doing his normal shows on his channel all the time. He's working really hard to put all these graphics together. He does that almost unilaterally. Very talented guy. Really appreciate the support that you guys give him. The only thing that I would say is that he made fun of my beard, and so now there's a fucking fatwa forevermore on Jimbob. But other than that, I would support him in every way conceivable.
Dude, I didn't need to make fun of the beard. All you had to say is, "Look at my beard, guys," and then everyone's like, "Okay, great. Funny? You're very very successful. You're taking over the internet, but now you've crossed the line."
It's one too many.
Rizzy, $5. The only dichotomy is, do I support the Crucible or Jimbob? You do both in general. He definitely has more money than me.
I would say I need it more than him. I would say to defer. If you have to make the choice, if it's your only $5 that is the disposable income, and Jimbob takes the same ideology I do on this. You always take care of you and yours first, no matter what. Always, there's disposable income that you absolutely can spend, and it's on nothing else which is pertinent to your family. I would still say to defer it to Jimbob. There has been okay. What I meant was send it to Andrew Wilson. Jimbob's a fucking piece of shit.
just go with the better beard, and then maybe the standards will change. $10 from Putnam. Sick ass panel. This is great.
They're all telling me to cope, dude. They're giving me the golden ring to cope in my own chat, dude.
You got to go through it once in a while. This is a. I think that's it. I'm gonna check. Oh no, they keep coming in. Joseph
Good.
Newton, 1999. Thank you so much, Joseph. Did you get my earlier 20? I did. Thank you. I just announced it. Thanks for bringing that up, Megan. See, you get brought up sandwiches, cigarettes, and beer. I just get money notifications, which is fine with me. Did you get my earlier 20? If you have another, this stream was worth it. Thank you so much. T-Jump Spurging was hilarious. Yes, and we, like Andrew said, we got to give him credit. He got it together, got back on, and also we stopped being so aggressive too. There was a kind of like a back and forth there that kind of calmed down.
This is bullshit,
right?
Bro. They're still ripping on me about the fucking beard. This horse shit. I will tell you this. There was a strategically placed belch in there, and I'm not going to say that people paid me a lot of money for this, but I don't regret it, Jim Bob. Are you gonna be mad at me, bro?
No, that was excellent. I was like, he can do that on command.
I can do it.
That was a good one. Yeah, I do that to my daughters sometimes. I'll just scare them with the loudest, brutal
across the room.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. No, that was well placed and perfect. And he also burped before, so it was really had layers.
That's why I felt like tit for tat.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it, mine's gonna be better.
It was. Yeah. Raphael Brinkley, $4.99. Thank you, Raphael. The West's quote Trojan horse is Lady Liberty. Wow, good catch. Jim Bob's beard is supremely better. Supremely better, Andrew. It's not even like it just takes the win by a hair. Silence.
Oh, what happened? Jim Bob's gone. Oh, he's gone? He's gone? What happened?
He just erased me.
Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead, man.
That is crazy, though, the Lady Liberty thing. I really didn't think of that before. You said that. Never thought of that. It's kind of haunting. I don't like it. What the fucks was T-Jump's hair doing?
Dude, this... okay.
That was great,
this
dude.
again. Hang on.
Dude.
No, I got to do it the other way. Nope, I got to do it the other way. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, it's this way, actually.
Yeah. Hang on. Here we go. Did we nail it?
He's welcome back anytime. And that's not usually a lot of people don't
that's
say
us
that
being
in our
good faith.
position,
We're being good
right?
faith.
We're being good
faith. Yeah.
Yeah. He can mock us. He's probably mocking us right now. Australians.
Yeah, but unmerited because we're better in every conceivable
that's true.
way. But other than that, that's fair.
Yeah, morality is not a physics force. It's insane. Fresh Palmani, $7.99. Australians are the most oppressed minority. We're just doing our slow march through the institutions, taking your women and beers. Australia's
I'm so fucking mad, dude. These guys. So I give this
going.
great Discord speech about how we can do the reverse slow march to the institutions. I didn't know the fucking Australians would be like, oh yeah, that's a great
crucible.
That's a great idea, mate. Let's just take over your entire fucking Discord and then become the head mods. And what we say goes. I went in there the other night. One of these fuckers muted me. I didn't even know who he was. And Fresh Pelmani, he DMs me. And this motherfucker, he says, ha, 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 ha. That's all I got was ha, ha. I was like, dude, it's my Discord. It's not anymore, bitch.
Wait a second. Isn't Mello Australian too? He runs.
I don't
run
just
my
stop.
Discord.
Stop.
Oh my gosh.
Stop, dude. You're gonna don't let him anywhere near anything.
Yeah. Jim Bob Shoulders here to support you. That's great. I love the pun. Really appreciate it. Swole Bob is on his way. You guys are gonna be. It's not gonna do anything. It doesn't matter. You guys are gonna go, oh, look at your elbows now. It doesn't fucking matter. You pick out one thing, we fix it. You pick out another.
Can you ban that guy? Can you ban the guy for this chat?
This guy?
Can you do it?
T-Jump's hair looked like Andrew's beard.
It's fucking bullshit, dude. It's fucking bullshit.
Oh man, it's not even.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all these fucking people, dude.
No, it's a good beard, dude. It really is a good beard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it really is good. That's the kind of shit
there
I
you
tell
go.
it was a good try. It's fucking bullshit. It was a good try.
$9.99. Andrew, your beard loses. I don't see. This is what it turns in. The shoulders, it's like not even that bad. Your beard, not even that. It's good. It's not even bad. It's
Okay,
Let
so
the
what
chat
if I
speak.
what if I switch the goalpost and I say if me and Jim Bob both shave, I'll look better. What about
Definitely.
that?
Definitely.
What if we do? Well, I don't even feel satisfied with that. I needed some pushback, and you fucked me in, Jim Bob.
No
It's
fucking way, dude.
bullshit.
No, that can't be seen on my part. You know, it's just that you looked like with a shaved face, at least like an adult still. And it was like an adult. Like, why did he do that? Like, why is that adult doing that?
I was gonna give
For
this to
me.
Andrew, but now goes the guy with the better beard, Kofi Andrew. Dude,
Yeah, thank you. What a great way to generate support, right? Just say one false thing. That's it. You know, you say one false thing. Whoever's on screen with you and has a show running is like gold. Let's see that face. Never. I haven't. It's been like I think it's been 15 years. 15 years.
Okay, hang on. You guys all have to reevaluate this. This has been literally about, well, okay, not literally, but figuratively, close to estimation, like 16 days. 16 days, and this is what you get. This motherfucker's been growing this shit his whole life. He's been growing that same pube beard since he was 14 years old.
It is a pube beard.
And this is what I get.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's all connected too. So if I shave my beard, and you manscape? Yeah, I do. It's because it's all one thing.
I'm gonna go with the goatee. I'm gonna go with the goatee just to look like
Go
the
with the
nefarious bastard.
Dude, you have to do this.
No.
Next Christian debate.
No.
No. Just the handlebars.
There's something about the handlebars that just
They gatified it. They gatified it.
You know what?
It's
What
the
happened?
70s. Yeah.
Peacecraft, that fucking piece of shit. Peacecraft. He did this. He was like, that looks like vagina hair if you have the, and it just never came out of the mind. You know what I mean? Around the mouth. That's vagina. I was like, you son of a bitch with the goatee.
Forever planted.
That's
planted.
It's over.
Yeah. Rizzy $5. I think a face-off between JB's shoulders and Pine Creek's is what we need. Yeah, I was actually noticing that myself, and nobody went after him, of course. Joseph $4.99. Jim Bob
there's other better targets,
There now. Jim Bob is an Andrew. I know that. Here's how it turns. I start making excuses for your beard, and then the whole tables turn again. So now I'm the simp. Now I'm the Andrew simp, beard simp, because I'm going, don't worry, Andrew, about your beard. It's okay, beard. It's going to be okay.
You're such a piece of shit, dude. You're such
beard.
a fucking piece of shit.
Better beard, Jim Bob.
If my camera guy was here, he would throw a beer bottle your way, and you would deserve it.
Canadian?
No, he's not Canadian.
Oh,
Why would you ever say that about a Texan?
Okay. Lansing ED, $2. Thank you, better. I like the ring to that. Better. That's going to be my next.
Better beer, Jim. Better beer.
My next
Bob?
goal. My next goal. Donation bar is going to be better beer, Jim Bob.
Better beer, Bob.
Yep. Okay. I think I'm finally caught up. What a great problem to have to not be caught up with super chats. AQ, the Aussie question. True. Right. I'm going to have to look into that. That is concerning, though, because now you don't have, what is it, Irish? You don't have the dominant force. The view is changing,
Listen, everywhere I go, these sons of bitches are right there. Anytime there's even the thought that a good American Irishman might seize power of anything, they take it away from me instantly. And I have not figured. We've been at a perpetual war inside the Foundry Discord for months, and I have no leverage. I have no. Anytime I say, "Oh, that shit's all fake," these fucking people come from a fake name, all that bullshit. They just laugh at me, Jim Bob.
They do it cheerfully. They're like elves.
Yeah.
They're like,
it's bullshit.
I'm cheerfully taking over.
Oh, we'll fix your shoes.
Yeah,
we'll fix your shoes while we take over your fucking house.
$3.99 came in on the dono. Bat Dude, thanks for the content. Yes, you're welcome, and thanks again to Andrew and all the panelists. The show's only as good. In this case, the show is only as good as the panelists. When Andrew and I do our own thing, the show's only as good as the chat sometimes. So this case is different, and I love having panels, especially when we
remember
can
the
select
rule.
People.
The rule is the chat always wins.
The chat wins. Yeah, they won tonight, and they were up against a mediocre beard in the dark.
Fuck you. All right. Well, Jim Bob, before I go, thank you so much for having me on your panel. I hope that you'll invite me back in the future. And then, you know, from all of us at the Crucible, we're going to read our own super chats and shit.
Sure.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
all he did was make fun of
Fuck
my
outta here.
beard.
That's great.
But did you have any words of wisdom for the chat
no.
before we go?
No, thanks so much for participating, everyone. You guys are really, between the two of us, the best chats, the best community. It's so much fun to do what we do, and we couldn't do it without all of you. So thanks, everyone over at the Crucible who supports me. Thanks, everyone here who supports Andrew and vice versa and so on. You guys have a great night, and I'm going to play my out song. I hope you guys like the intro I did. I made that myself. I went video game style, and I didn't get to use this as much, but I wanted to. This is a one-up. I didn't get to establish the context for it, like when someone wins a point. It might be retarded and just too on the nose. Who knows? All right. I think that's it. If I did miss anything, let me know in the chat. I'll go back through one more time. I do not want to miss any chats. It's very annoying for me when I super chat and it's missed, so I don't want that to happen. Make sure. Definitely make sure here. Someone became a member. Thank you, Rizzy, for becoming a member. Or no, you're a member for 12 months. Thank you so much. Love the one-up. I get it. Yeah. Well, I have it better on my end. It's got no background. So that's cooler. Someone asked if I have a chin. I do have a chin. I'm not one of those guys who hides the no chin in my beard. With my beard, I do have a chin. I just don't like looking like a boy. I don't like it. It feels weird. It's embarrassing. It feels like you have your pants like you feel like it's vulnerable. Plus, once you hit 40, what am I, 42? Once you shave your face, you just look like a female. You look like a lesbo. Over 40, beard, lesbo. Keenan, I did miss one. $4.99. Rain, thank you so much for making it rain. Really appreciate the support. Daniel Brennan, $5. How are your feelings toward the big boar in Idaho these days? You know, it's mostly ineffectual. I'm just thankful to branch away from all of that, you know. It's and anyone who did knows what I'm talking about. Where you're just like, oh, it's like being stuck in mud. It's like being stuck in quicksand, and then you're just free. It's great. The saying goes by Hoodie: hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. It's true, and there's no women involved there. It's an interesting topic. Pine Creek Doug really won me over, by the way. I have a long history with him. I don't know if you guys remember back in the Prius days. Nick Clinton, $9.99. Thanks so much, Nick. Really appreciate that support. Back in the Prius days, I would call in to Doug on my lunch breaks and get very aggressive with him and go full philosophy dork. And even though the philosophy is really fun, when I'm learning a lot from Andrew and a lot of the people he tangles with who are not even Christian, is that there's a lot of like more political, superficial things that are in fact worth talking about. And sometimes the philosophy just bores the shit out of people, and I understand. Hoffman, 3 months, members. Thank you, Hoffman. I couldn't believe the extent Tom would defend healthcare, but not life itself. Yes, that would be a different debate. I might actually have him back on for evolution. That's going to be not as fun as a topic, honestly, but whatever. Gordzilla, $5. Canadian rain, but rain nonetheless. Thank you, Gordzilla. Really appreciate that. American Nacho, $5. I do what Andrew says because he is mean. Take my money. Thanks, American. American Nacho, you said you were doing some panels. We're going to have to get you up on here, maybe on the next one, American Nacho, if you're still there. I'll text you in Discord, okay? And I think I'm caught up there on that end. And then Twizzard, $10. JB, great work and thank you. Thank you for being here and the $10. I really appreciate that. And I did see Posh. He wanted to get in on that. Posh, I apologize, but I have specific panels for you. Okay, that wasn't one of them. And by the way, you're like me. You're likely, he's fast asleep, by the way, but you're more likely to pull things down into epistemology and deep stuff, right? This was not the night. This was the night for, it's like a combination of a sitcom and a wrestling match. So, but you'll have your own time here, Posh. Don't you worry about that. All right. I think that's it. Andrew's beard loses. That was great. What a great setup. All right. Am I finally caught up? Finally. Okay. I think I'm finally caught up. All right. Wow. 3 hours, 44 minutes. Shout out to Megan, my wife. W's in the chat for Megan. What? Oh. My producer's texting me. $5 tip from, I got a tip from Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Another tip, $5. I really appreciate that. Rizzy says, thanks for hosting. It's important. I agree. It's like an olive. Oh yeah. What I was saying is W's in the chat for Megan, bringing me food, feeding me food, white wine and water, and taking care of our children while I do antics. Crazy stuff online. All right. Big shout out to MadebyJimbob. That's right. A lot of love for MadebyJimbob. All right. I think that's it. With that, thank you so much. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. It's going to be every Thursday. It's already got its intro. I'm going to add more video game stuff to it. And with that, I will bid you all a beautiful evening. And let's get this outro. Ready? Enjoy your evening. I hope you loved the second rendition of Mixed Bag Panel.